All right. Again, this is our third live stream, and I am still working out the bugs. I'm still learning the system. So this live stream posted in the community section, I wanted to ask everyone really what they wanted out of a live stream. Do we want to do just like an open forum and just ask questions, or do we just want to come in here and chat, like a once a week chat thing? It did say one person watching or waiting. I had it set up to go live exactly at 7. Now, Linnell said what it had done was it had stopped the countdown and it didn't automatically go live. So that meant YouTube was waiting on me to actually hit the live button. So that's one thing off the list. Okay, now I know even if I schedule the live, I still have to hit the go live button for it to go live. So I'm learning as we do this. And for whatever reason, behind me, there's a bright light. I don't know what that light is. It may be the significant other has like a little warming candle. And I think that's the bulb from the warming candle. I'm not sure. So I see 2 people. So that means one person other than Linnell, and I don't see any typed in. Oh, yep, it's Bryce. Hey, Bryce, how are you? I see the typed in message here on the bottom. Again, I'm just learning. So I see that it comes up on the bottom right-hand corner. So since it's only you and Linnell here, I guess I'll direct my question directly to you. When you're learning and you're playing the guitar, are you laying the guitar on your lap in learning to play, or are you doing the more traditional playing, like putting the guitar up on your chest and learning that way? I wanted to ask last week, but we got so sidetracked with everything, I forgot to go back and actually ask which way you were actually playing the guitar. And I'm assuming you're using some type of voice to type assistance type thing on your computer. I'm not overly sure. I think I read that last week where you were using an assistant to type in as you speak. I think that's what I heard. Yeah. Okay. At least I got that part right. All right. Well, what I posted in the community page was, since I want the channel to be about the people that subscribe. Okay, that's number one. I want it about the subscribers. So if we're going to do a live show once a week, I wanted to kind of bounce it off the people that watch the videos, what they actually wanted. Yeah. Yeah, I use voice to text. I have that on my cell phone. And at first I didn't, I'm going to move to where I cover up that light. At first I would check what the voice to text would do, and I would hit send, and then I would go back and read it. Oh my gosh, sometimes that thing will just come up with some, I didn't say that, and it would auto generate what it thought I said. There was a couple of times I wish I could have went back and changed what Google said I said. But on your end, I haven't seen it come out with anything bad yet. But I wanted everyone to kind of give their opinion on what they wanted once a week. Did we want to have just an open chat where everyone comes in here and it's like a bar room and it's whatever we talk about, it's whatever we talk about? Or do I want to set up a post on the community page and answer questions where you guys could go in, type in a couple questions that you'd like to see in the live stream, then I can look at that through the week. Okay, they want to talk about this guitar, or maybe a review that was done, or something that's going on in the music community, and then we can talk about it in the chat. Hey, Trucker Bob, how are you? Good to see you back. So I don't know how many people actually went and read the community page. I did see that there was 5 likes, but no one actually commented on what they wanted to talk about. So since there was no comments on what we want to talk about, I figured the first thing we should touch base on is, well, I got to get my left and right because everything's backwards in the camera. This is the Firefly guitar that we are actually working on the review of right now. I'll just let the cat out of the bag so you guys can see it. This was sent to us from a subscriber, and it has a beautiful bird's eye maple top. I don't know if that's coming through on the camera, but there is so much figuring in the body. It is sharp. All the little bird's eyes that's in it. It's a beautiful finish. It's almost like a purple black right here. I do see some blue in it and certain light. Then it almost goes to like a dark maroon to a red and then into the top color. It's very pretty. It's a sharp looking burst. And to be honest with you, I don't know if you all have noticed it, a lot of the Gibsons, like starting right here and right here, the burst kind of goes up like this on an angle. And you don't get this color right here. It shoots up to this corner and this is all dark. I know that's really a traditional Gibson look, but I don't like the burst following the body like that. I don't know what you guys actually think of that, but I like this better than the Gibson and some of the Epiphone that come across and they darken this whole corner in. I think that looks sharp. And then on the back, it's just black on the back. And it's a high gloss neck. And we do have a volute right there. And this particular guitar comes with locking tuners. So this guitar literally sat in that box right there for probably 4 months before I actually got to open it up and start the review. And I have all the review sections done. So we did the open box and checked the scale length, checked the relief in the neck, went through the electronics. So at this point, all I'm working on now is doing the editing on the video. And before I even get into the demo section, we're already over 50 minutes on the review. So that's something I also wanted to ask everyone. How many people would come back and watch a second part or a third part on the review? If you go back and you watch my reviews, sometimes someone will say, oh my gosh, it's an hour-and-a-half guitar review. You know, they don't want something like that. So I didn't know if I did a review and I'm going to turn this light off because I find myself doing this trying to cut the light off. So let me get the light off back here. And in reality, that light isn't very bright. It's just the way the camera I was picking it up. Let me see what the chat's saying here. You don't like the dark, so you don't like it going from the dark to the blonde. I kind of like it. I'm not. If you look at most of my guitars, the only guitar I have that has something similar to that would be my Epiphone Dot. I don't really have any, what I guess they call it a burst top, where it goes from the dark to another color to the light. Only my Epiphone Dot. I'm pretty sure that's the only guitar that I own right now that has that type look. I think when it's done nice, I like it. What I was saying is the Gibson kind of does a teardrop. It kind of goes up like that, and they leave the whole corner dark. I'm not a big fan of that type burst. This is more like what Fender does. Fender kind of follows the body line all the way around. It's kind of neat looking. Yeah. Daniel says correct. So yeah, at least I'm not the only one like that. But back to the review on the guitar. I get it. You know, you can't please everyone all the time. You know, so I guess what I'm hunting for here is my die-hard people. That's what they've really come to get used to, is my extremely long reviews. For YouTube and the AI system, it doesn't like it if I don't post at least 2 videos per week. During my little time off, YouTube really hit the channel hard because I wasn't posting anything. So if I divide the review up into 2 videos and then also do a live stream once a week, I think that'll make YouTube a little happier as far as what this channel is doing, as far as it marketing the new videos. When you all comments, thumbs up, any like keys, I've noticed videos that have more likes and more comments, they continuously get pushed by YouTube out for new people. The videos that really don't get many likes or many comments, they kind of die off pretty quickly. And YouTube, they're like buried underneath 1,000 different videos. Linnell is saying something here. What is it?
I know what you mean about Gibson style. I never liked it at all.
Yeah, Trucker Bob. You know, I'm pretty sure Gibson has done the following the body detail, but it seems like they've really went to that teardrop type. I'm not a big fan of that. I think it makes the corner of the guitar look funny. That's just me. And we got a comment with Daniel here. Well, I like seeing your complete coverage. I do be the breaking it up would be better. One, you refer back to the previous and the first, your last chat and this chat. And I was recalled over 3 hours. Yeah, I think my longest guitar review was almost 2 hours. And just so you guys know, I'm like with the Firefly review I'm working on right now, I'm 25 minutes in. So technically right now, I can upload that 25 minutes into YouTube. Now, YouTube likes MP4 and a couple other video platforms. My editing software has to convert how I record to that. So an hour and a half video, me uploading it, believe it or not, it takes almost 8 to 9 hours just to upload the video to YouTube. Then YouTube wants to do what's called a standard definition. That's what they want to push out. If I want to wait for 4K or HD, it's usually another 5 or 6 hours for YouTube to process that, and then it goes live. If I don't tell it when to post the video and post it as soon as it's done its conversion, it posts what's called standard definition. And in standard definition, it's very grainy. So I think it would help me. Like I said, I'm 25 minutes into this one, and editing wise, I probably have, I'm going to guess 6 to 7 hours of editing into the video just on this one. And when I say editing, I'm not editing out anything bad. If you watch my videos, I do a lot of fade and then right into the next scene, or a fade to a different camera angle. Each camera has its own script in the video editing, and they're in layers. So if you're in layer 1 and watching video on layer 1 and I want to switch to layer 2, I have to cut layer 1, take the back side, put it on the bottom, and then do a fade. So it fades out of layer 1 to layer 2 and across, if that makes any sense. Now you also have to keep all that video in sequence. since I am using GoPros, I cannot use my left and right channel, one side as a data, to put sync code. I'm not able to do that yet. So I have to manually sync all the cameras and keep them in sync in the edit. If you've watched the channel, I'm sure you guys have, occasionally you'll hear like an echo in the background, or you'll hear me say it repeat, but it's real soft. That is something that I missed in the editing, and the video went out of track. What you're hearing is the other video line underlying what you're seeing. And I haven't completely taken all the audio out. It's at like -20, and the main audio track's at maybe 8. So you hear that ghosting effect because something has become out of sync. Yeah, Bryce says to me the review is based on what the guitarist, that's what he's typed. So I'm assuming, I'm trying not to be a demo channel. If you want to watch guys play 10 times better than me, that's pretty easily done on YouTube. There's a tremendous amount of extremely talented YouTubers that know how to play guitar. If they pick up any guitar, they have a nice rig, let's all be honest with one another, you can make it sound good, especially if you're an extremely talented guitar player. You can finagle how much pressure you put on the strings, you can figure out what it lacks, and you can play around it. So what I've tried to do is just give an honest review of the guitar. How is the finish on it? How is it machined? What is the quality of the pickups, the quality of the tuners, the quality of the fretwork, just a general construction. And then I do give you some demo sounds. I've always tried to do a little clean, a little dirt, and some high gain. But even at that rate, the rig that I use does color the guitar. A lot of channels want you to say, oh, you know, this guitar just sounds so awesome. I'll be honest with you, some of the worst guitars that we've had on the channel, I can usually get a pretty good sound from the guitar. You know, you can go in, every amp has a low, mid, high. Most of them have a presence. You can change your gaining. There's so many things that you can do to get that guitar to sound better. When you come up out of the standard amplifier like the Black Star or my Ignite or something like that, and you get into processing, and you have gates and reverbs, and you can compress it, you can limit it. You have, you know, the onboard EQ where you have low, low, mid, high, plus you have another 5 or 6 channel EQ in the effects. You can really tweak any guitar to make it sound good. That's why I qualify my reviews. You know, yes, I try to do every review and try to get that guitar to sound as good as possible. And I tell people, when you buy a guitar, I'm going to say 85–90% of your tone is from your amp. If you have a nice amp and you have nice, clean effects, you're going to have a nice sound. Even if you plug a $150 Amazon no-name brand guitar in it, you can make it sound good. If you have a nice amp, nice effects, it's clean, it's not humming. But if you take a $5,000 Gibson and you plug it into a Gorilla amplifier, I'm saying Gorilla because that's what I grew up with, was the $120 Gorilla amp, had like a little 8-inch speaker in it. They were horrible. You take that $5,500 Gibson, you plug it into that Gorilla amp, that Gibson is not going to sound like a Gibson. It's going to sound like something from Kmart, and that amp was proof of it. So I always tell people, when you do a review, yes, my goal is to make it sound as nice as possible. But don't expect buying a Firefly or my Vandenberg here, plugging it into a cheap amp and getting the tones that you see on YouTube, or the tones that I get. I see the chat moving, so also see the significant other here. She's pointing to the chat. And Bryce, no, that's not what I meant to say. It doesn't to me that it matters about the type of guitar, like the Firefly or the Epiphone. Understand the one I'm going to watch. Yeah, his voice to chat's doing basically what mine does. It's breaking up. So yeah, as long as I'm creating content, Bryce here, if I remember correctly, he is blind. So he's relying on my commentary to go through the video. And last week he said that he really enjoyed watching the channels because there wasn't a lot of commentary. I'm talking through each little aspect of the review. Sometimes I feel like I'm actually too wordy, but last week when he said that, it made me feel better that I'm able to describe what I'm doing just in case you're not able to actually see it. That means a lot to me. Yeah. Well, in your case, Bryce, I could hand you a pink Les Paul with purple polka dots and tell you it's black. I'm just saying, as long as it sounds good to you, it's really not going to matter. And don't let anybody tell you pink is bad, because Adrian Vandenberg played this model guitar in hot pink, and he made that guitar look cool. I still want a Vandenberg hot pink. This is my Vandenberg, guys. This is one of my pride and joy guitars. I don't play it much. This is an original 1990 Peavey Vandenberg. Probably the best guitar that Peavey ever manufactured. Now, I know they made guitars for Eddie Van Halen on the HP2s, but this was really Peavey's breakout guitar. When they entered the rock scene, Vandenberg and the other guitar player from Whitesnake, I can't remember his name, he went on, I don't think it was the guitar player that did Blue something, it was Blue Murder. I don't believe it was him, but there was another guitar player that was playing Peavey with Whitesnake as well. And that gentleman told Adrian Vandenberg, why don't you check out a Peavey? And then Peavey created this guitar. Now, this is not a Gen 1. This is actually a Gen 2. And you can see that it has the Kahler licensed Floyd Rose. So this is a Kahler Spider system. It's not my favorite tremolo system from Kahler, but the Spider was a very nice tremolo system. And the video is making this guitar look better than it actually is. This guitar has a lot of paint. I did construction, so I would come home with messy fingers. You can see there's paint on the knobs. There's chips in the body. The video is making it out to be very shiny looking, but the guitar has been, I'll say, well loved. It's definitely been played. And the significant other standing here again, so I'm assuming she's either going to tell me or force me to read the chat again.
Talk about what's your opinion on the guitar computer program called Amplitude.
Amplitude. Which this is going out to Trucker Bob. You know, Bob, I'm not going to lie to you, buddy. I'm a very old school guitarist. If it's a plug-in, I don't have any. When I say any experience, I have no experience with plug-ins. I can base it on what I've heard, you know, at my local guitar center, Washington Music, what the guys at Sweetwater tell me. Stuff now has gotten very good, and it really doesn't matter what you use. I think it's more about how familiar you are with how you get into the program and edit it. I guess it's more about your workflow. If you have something and it works with your workflow and it's an intuitive to you, like when you open it up and you understand what it's doing when you change certain things, you understand how it operates, that's what you should use. Is one going to sound better than something else? Maybe a little bit. If you do a side-by-side comparison, you might hear a little difference. Like if you take an Axe Effects and a Quad Cortex and the Line 6 Helix. Me personally, I would like the Axe Effects. I've looked at the Axe Effects. I like the way the Axe Effects breaks things down. It's a lot more detailed. And the rack mount equipment that I use, you literally had to change every parameter. It didn't have a nice fancy touch screen. It would say EQ and then give like, 4000 HZ and then a number. That was it. And you just had to scroll through the menu. I think the Axe Effects is more like that, where the Quad Cortex and the Line 6 is more user friendly. You're up, it's like Windows. What you see up here on the top is the easy to access stuff. You could change the gain, change the treble. But if you want to get into the more of the meat, you can get into that. So I would look at a program that fits your need. If you don't know what that is, then I would definitely get on YouTube. Like I said, there's 50,000 channels on here that could go over plugins. Watch them all. And don't watch the guy that says it's awesome and does sounds. Go to the ones doing tutorials on how to use that, because they're going to show you screenshots. Does it look like you understand it? Do you get what he's talking about? Even the Line 6, go look at tutorials on how to make the EQ work, how to stack the pedals, how to change if that makes any sense. That's going to tell you how well you can work with the product. When you do all that and you get it, you may not like it. I just hate to say that. Until you dip your toe in the water and you actually see what you like, sometimes you're kind of throwing darts. What's that? Read the comments. There's a bunch of them that I missed. I saw Guitar Clank, that was Alice Cooper, and he was sponsored by Peavey and had one of those Vandenbergs. I never knew Alice Cooper played a Vandenberg, but that's pretty cool. I'm sure Adrian Vandenberg was kind of rolling over going, oh my gosh. Other musicians, John Sykes. Oh yeah, John Sykes. That was the guy from Blue Murder. I'm not too sure if John Sykes was the guy that was playing Peavey and then went to Adrian and said, look, check out Peavey. There's a side of me that says no, because I think John was a big Gibson guy. And I know Adrian Vandenberg was a Gibson guy, but at the time, he was playing Fernandez, and then went from Fernandez to Peavey. And then Daniel has got a post here. Hi, have you ever heard my playing? Feel lucky if you ever do. A Leo James looks really good to me if they fixed a couple of things you found. Tuners seem to be a big deal. I don't want to be the channel that downs any company. And I'm qualifying that because my last live stream, not that you guys really care, because you guys are like my diehard people, I actually lost 2 subscribers. Well, I lost 2, but gained 3. So in the YouTube analytics, so I upset 2 people. Hopefully it wasn't over the Leo James comments, but my job to be a truthful reviewer is to give you the truth. Truth is, guys, we all want budget guitars. I mean, who doesn't want to get a JCM 800 Marshall for $400 with 4 greenback Celestion drivers? Oh, I'd be on it like that. I don't even play Marshall, but I know the JCM 800's awesome. So if I can get one for $400 or $500 with a cabinet, and that's what happens to the budget guitar. They make a pretty budget guitar, and you know, oh, wow, look at all this stuff you get. Remember, even though it's made in China and the labor's cheap, they still have to make money. So nothing against Leo James, nothing against Firefly or Balgoa or whatever brand we've did the Peavey Raptor that was really bad. It's a price point. So right now, your budget guitar, by the time you figure shipping, this is what people don't understand. If you go to Guitar Gardens and you look, oh, it's $239, and they get on Amazon, and the Leo James is like, all right, $260. Well, it's free shipping. So with Guitar Gardens, you're going to pay a little extra for the shipping. They usually work out whether, well, sometimes on Amazon you can get it on sale, but a budget guitar through Amazon or Guitar Gardens, you're going to be right around the 260 mark, 240 to 280 mark. That's an insanely cheap price, insanely cheap. So as a reviewer, what do you want to have to replace? Unless you're a guitar tech, you don't want to buy a budget guitar that has fret issues, because the frets is really what makes the guitar play the way it plays. You want to try to find a budget guitar that has a reputation of giving you a high quality neck, something that feels nice, good fret leveling, polished frets, you know, a nice broken edge, you know, that's what you're looking for. It doesn't matter if there's a crack on the finish, or you're wanting a player at that price point. What I found with Leo James is fretwork. I've gotten some that they play fine, but the fret leveling just really wasn't that good on the guitar. It just really wasn't. I think if they get their fret leveling down, that's where they need to be. It's okay that the tuners are very scratchy and very cheap. That's something that you can replace really, really easily. The only thing that you got to keep in mind is on the US versus Korean stuff, the bore is usually 10 millimeter versus 11.5 or something in the US market. So just make sure that you're buying an imported tuner to fit the holes in that guitar. That's a really inexpensive quick fix on a lot of these import guitars. Stick to a fixed tail guitar. The reason for it is a tremolo system guitar like the Vandenberg and some of the other guitars, that instantly throws the price of the guitar up. So that means the company has to cut corners in fret leveling, maybe the quality of the veneer, the quality of the tuners, because they're trying to give you a floating tremolo. So if you're wanting more bang for the buck, try to stick to a fixed bridge. And the best guitar that I've found with a fixed bridge for rock and roll, and it's got fret issues. The Leo James Tempest and Monsoon, in my opinion, had the best feel and best sound for the money. The drawback is the frets. And I say that only because I've reviewed 5 or 6 Leo James and they were all over the place. One was so bad I couldn't play. And reading comments from other viewers that post on the reviews, it's a pretty common thing. They had high frets, buzzing frets, bad tuners. That seems to be the go-to. So with that in mind, I would say look more towards Firefly, you know, and maybe look at one of their Tele models that's more traditional, or a traditional Strat model. They also have a super Strat model. And if you watch the channel, you know I don't stick with Strats very long because of where the volume knob is. I constantly bump it. Occasionally, Firefly will come out with one of their super Strats. And if you look at where the volume and the tone is, it's shifted down. So if you do have that problem with the Strat hitting the volume, they do make a fixed bridge version of that guitar. You just have to wait for it to come in. That's the drawback with Firefly. It seems like they'll have a model for a couple months, it disappears, and it might be 3 or 4 months before it comes back. Wherein if you go to Amazon, the Leo James, the Balgoa, the Grote, they're pretty consistently in stock on Amazon. And she's looking at me again, so the chat, I see it moving, guys, but I'm wailing and talking.
Bryce Jackson bought a Hello Kitty Squire, and he wants to know if you want to do a review on his Kramer Assault 220.
If you want to send the Assault 220, we're up for reviewing it. There was actually one I just saw. I think it was on Marketplace, because I do want to find one. I've been looking for one of the black ones with the red accents, because the headstock on that guitar on the Assault 220 is different than the Assault that I have. I have the Assault Plus, which was about $850 new, and it has the reverse banana headstock. So I do actually want to do a review on a Kramer Assault. If you go to my homepage, you should be able to hit the contact tab. And my email's there. You can send me an email. Give it time. I'm really slow on the email. I'm sure there's other emails in there that I haven't gotten to, but send me an email and we can work something out. And let me get caught up on the chat here. Hey, there's Jerry. Now, I don't have the little hoot and toot button, or I would hit it for Jerry, because Jerry's a very honest person. He's like Trucker Bob and some of the other people. He's always come to the reviews and said what he thinks, and he chimes in and adds to the content of the channel. And that's what the channel needs. It needs people that has opinions, because I'm only giving you mine. Your all's opinion counts. Just because I feel one way doesn't mean that the group feels the same. So we have to go through and we have to read the posts on every video on what people think of a product and what they've received. That's the game plan behind this channel, is information. So I wanted to say hi to Jerry. And I see Dean is back again. Good to see you, Dean. I once had an orange paint job Vandenberg. Wish I'd kept it. Don't mean to tease you, Mr. Dean, but I didn't sell mine. And unless I lose my job and I'm down to one single can of beans to eat, I won't be selling this one. But I'm not going to say never, because if I get down to that one can of beans, I'm selling it for another can of beans. And we got Trucker Bob again. The guitarist from Kiesel, a couple others, a Megadeth guitarist for a couple of years, and played with Vandenberg. Vandenberg kind of took a break for a little while. I saw a lot of those guys took breaks for years in because they had kids or got married or got out of the music thing. Vandenberg, just about a year ago, really started playing again through Vandenberg, which was the first band that he did before Whitesnake. It was just Vandenberg. And his new album, I feel, is awesome. I like Sin. If you guys haven't heard Vandenberg Sin, type it into the chat. It's a awesome tune. And it's late 80s, early 90s tone to it. It's a good sound. I like it. Gearhead. Yes, John used Les Pauls in the old videos and Whitesnake's and earlier albums. Yeah. I thought he was, well, Vandenberg is playing the Les Paul too. I think I talked about it on the last live stream. I'm thinking about getting a new Vandenberg. But when I go and I watch the live from Vandenberg now, where he has his new signature model through Peavey, he's only playing that model like 2 songs, and he's playing that Gibson Les Paul. So I'm kind of on the fence. If you've got the signature artist isn't playing his signature guitar and he's still playing the Les Paul, does it mean that the new Vandenberg's bad? Maybe not. I'm going to qualify that if he went back to the Les Paul after his deal with Peavey ended, and he's been playing a Les Paul for 20 years, it could be just the fact that he's familiar with it and he likes that guitar. It feels like home to him. I want to put one in my hand before I spend $3,000 on a new Vandenberg. That's a really salty price for a guitar that you can't pick up, listen to, and play and see if it fits you. That's pretty salty. And Daniel says, aha, I needed to hear that. Oh, the Leo James comment. The significant other clues me in once again on how lost I am in the chat. Yeah, Grant, that's why I want to qualify what I say. This channel is not here to bash any product. That's not what we're about. We're just trying to find products that we feel if we added a couple of dollars to, we get an awesome product. Or that diamond in the rough that you can spend $260 on and you can just play the guitar. And don't mean to say too much, but I didn't want to plug the guitar in and play it until I actually got to the demo section. This particular Firefly, they upped the game on the pickups on this pickup. When I did my purple and black Firefly, I liked the pickups in that guitar, but they were still lacking something. I can't put my finger on it. They didn't sound bad. And again, I'm setting the bar high here. I'm going to say I'm used to Seymour Duncans. I like Pearly Gates. I like JVs. Granted, those are $250 pickups, and you're only paying $250 for the guitar. So is it fair to compare it? No, but that's the bar I'm going to set it at. This guitar, the pickups in this guitar, I like them. I actually played this guitar over my polka dotted Kramer today just because of the tone that I was getting out of it through my rack mount amp. It's not a JB sound, and it's not really, it's a little darker sounding than a JB, but not quite as hot sounding as like a DiMarzio distortion. I'm going to say the stock pickup in the bridge position is in between the JB and a DiMarzio distortion. I know that's setting a really high bar for you guys. I would not lie to you. The bridge pickup, and I haven't played too much with the neck pickup, the bridge pickup and high gain on this Firefly is killer. Killer. Like I said, I played this guitar today over my other guitar just because of that pickup. I'll go back to the chat here. And Bryce says, yeah, I have the black with the red accent. Oh, that's the one I like. They have a white model. The white's cool, but the black with that smack you in the face red accent and the red, there's just something about black with red highlights. It just looks awesome. And my eyesight's about, it looks like balanced one. Kramer Assault 220 FR and gloss black. 2023, 320. Listed 3 weeks ago in Midland, Michigan. Now, I don't know how close Midland, Michigan is to Orion or the Palace. I think it's off of Route. I don't live in Michigan. My brother does. I think it's Route 30, 31, 36 or something. It's the Palace right off of 75. He lives, I think, 2 exits down. You make a right and it goes towards Orion. What's the name of that city? I forget what it is now. So if it is up there, I would have to wire the funds to my brother, and then he would have to go get it. And, locally on Marketplace, there was one for sale, but it's the white one. So I didn't send a message to it. If I get one for my personal use, I think I want the black one. Yeah, Oxford, Michigan is where he's at. So that sounds, I'm not sure. Excuse me. I'm not sure where Midland is. I don't know if that's near Oxford or not. And then we got Jerry. Avery, what are your thoughts of replacing the FFST with a Jackson J90C from the 80s? I hate to see it just sitting there, the pickup. Do you mean pull the pickup out of the Jackson and stick in the Firefly? Is that what you mean?
He wants to replace the FFST with the Jackson J90C.
Yeah, he's saying he wants to replace the pickup.
Yeah, he just said yeah.
I'm not overly familiar with the Jackson pickups of the day. If you're doing all that work, I'll qualify it. It's more about your time. Okay, really, it's all about time. You at the end, you gotta like it. I'm not saying that, but if it takes you an hour to do it and you're not overly sure that you like the tone of that particular pickup, I wouldn't do it yet. And I want to also qualify, just because a JB sounds a certain way in a Strat, okay, I can pull that pickup out, I can stick it in a Les Paul, it's going to lose something. The material of the wood, I get it. Oh, it's the tone wood debate. But how you mount it, is it directly mounted? Are the screws of the pickup going right into the body of the guitar? Or is it attached to a pick guard? All of these things change the way that pickup sounds. So I would look at the Jackson, if it's a floating pickup mounted to the pick guard versus mounting it directly to the body. There's a lot of things that you need to consider before you do the swap that can actually change the way that guitar sounds. I think a pickup mounted to a pick guard like a Strat, I'm going to say it, I think it thins the pickup out a little bit. It does. It's not really attached to the wood. It has, the vibration has to go through the plastic and then into the coil of the pickup. You know, Eddie Van Halen did it for a reason. He ran screws right through the top of the pickup, right into the meat of the guitar. He wanted that resonance of that guitar going through the pickups into the stem of that pickup. I believe there's a lot of truth to that. So look at how the two guitars are made before you really start ripping it apart. And if you really like the way the Jackson sounds, but you like the way the Firefly plays, and you don't have to route the two, it's an easy switch, sure, go ahead and do it. But if you're on the fence about it, find a pickup you know you like, whether it's DiMarzio distortion, a JB, I hate to say it, a JB pickup, there's a reason why it's been made for 30 some years straight. It's great for jazz. You can play country with it. You can play hair metal with it. You can play death metal with it. You can play blues with it. You can play anything with the JB. The pickup is just, it crosses so many different lines. Does it do everything just so perfect it's the ultimate? No. But I do think the JB does everything so well that it's the ultimate go-to everything pickup.
Jerry says he was going to direct mount it into the body.
Yeah, if you're going to direct mount Jerry directly into the body, that's going to help the tone. But again, look at how it's mounted in the Jackson. If you like the way it sounds in the Jackson, try to emulate however it's mounted in the Jackson to the Firefly first, and then see how it sounds. Like I said earlier, you can do a side-by-side, and you might hear the difference. But if you play the guitar after you put the pickup in, and then direct mount the pickup and then play it again, I doubt very seriously that you'd be able to actually tell the difference between the tone difference between the two. But side by side, there may be a little bit beefier sound, low end sound, direct mounting the pickup. I'm gonna take a drink here real quick.
The one that has the Jackson, just the pickup.
Oh, you just have the pickup. Well, then it's based on your remembrance of what that pickup sounded like. Oh my gosh, SmoothyBuns. There's a blast from the past. Oh, TruckerBob's.com. I'll get back to you, Smoothie. Hold on. Yes, I don't know how you actually pronounce that brand. F-L-E-O-R. Floor or something. I have had a couple people make comments saying that they're nice pickups for the amount of money. I do have another set of pickups up here. Let me grab those real quick.
He said those were $16.
Okay, we have two different types of pickups. And of course, my favorite pickup ever made. And no, it's not the 81, it's not an 85, and it's not an 86. It's the EMG 89. And everyone's going to say, oh my gosh, you play an 89. The 89 is an awesome pickup. I played now this one's an 89R. The difference in the R is it was designed to go up towards the neck. It's a little bit milder sounding. I was going to use this pickup in a guitar build coming up. And the R also means that you can split the coils, which I don't think you can do on the 81 or the 85, if I remember correctly. Awesome pickup. But the reason I walked over and grabbed the pickups is this brand right here. And you can find them on Amazon. And I can vouch for this pickup. This pickup's a nice pickup. They run about $65, $70. And the reason I'm liking these now, they're readily available quite often. And there was another pickup that I liked. Now, Smoothie's in the chat now. We did a guitar for Smoothie, and he asked me what pickups I liked that were budget friendly. And he can type in how much he paid for those pickups. They were guitar head pickups. He picked a set that I had never used before. They were solid rail pickups. I think it's more for real monster distortion, like a death metal type sound. It didn't have poles or the hex poles. It was just what they call rail pickups.
Guitar head, 50 bones, 50.
Yeah, 50 bones for the guitar heads. And those pickups that I put in that Harley Benton for him, they were cut your head off on my amp. Now I do have a high gain amp, but those things just cut your freaking head off. They had a lot of punch. But I know they make some detuned versions like the Hexbucker, which is really good value. But I found this brand, and they seem to have more products. The guitar heads, you got to get through eBay, and it doesn't seem like they're stocking many of them anymore. It doesn't seem that they're doing anything really new anymore. 8, 9 years ago, they were really pushing their product. And I do see new stuff coming out, like the more stock of the Hexbucker or their standard high performance PAF pickup, which is a really good. The guitar heads PAF hot rod is an awesome pickup. I will, if you've got a Les Paul, put the guitar heads PAF in it. Awesome pickup, low noise floor, real fat bottomy sound. Great pickup for a Les Paul. This is something new. I've put these in 2 or 3 guitars so far for clients, and they seem to be a good all-around guitar pickup, very much like the JB, but for more. Well, they're not 100. I think these are like $70. The JB set now is about $220. So it's going to be a little more than half the price of the Seymours. So if you guys want to check those guys out, might have to do a review with some tone checks on these guys. But I'm liking these pickups.
SmoothyBuns is going to hit you up for the next few days, and he wants to know if you're still rocking that polka dot shredder you picked up at Guitar Center.
Yes, the last live stream, SmoothyBuns, I was actually playing that guitar. It took a little while for that guitar to acclimate to my home. The neck was kind of bouncing around a lot. It was not staying in tune. And I was kind of worried about it the first 2 months. I brought it home and it played fine. And about a week later, I picked it up and the strings were way off the neck. And the neck had moved. So I tuned the neck, I set the gauge on it, set the neck. And it seemed to do okay for 2 or 3 weeks. And I hung it on the wall. And I come back to it about a month later, and it had shifted again. So I was like, okay. So I made an adjustment. I played it for about a week, went back to the guitar, and it had shifted again. I was starting to get worried. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to let the guitar sit on the wall for about 2 months. I let it do its thing. I made the last adjustment, and knock on wood, the past 3 or 4 months, the neck has not moved. And we have just went into winter, so there's a big season change going on, and the guitar is holding. So I don't really know what was going on with the guitar when I first picked it up, but sometimes you just have to buy it. And if no one knows what we're talking about, I'm sorry, because we were in Guitar Center, and SmoothyBuns and myself, and they had my polka dot Kramer that I bought. I think I took it, it's in the bedroom now. I just took it in there for the live stream. I picked this guitar up and I just fell in love with it. The way it played, the way it sounded, the way it was just set up and played awesome. And I stole the guitar. I think it was was it $550? It was either $550 or $600. They just wanted to get rid of the guitar. I don't know what was going on with it, but at that price point and the way it played, I took it right up and bought the guitar. And of course, when the neck went a little wacky, I'm like, well, maybe something was going on with the guitar, but it has since stabilized. But that's what I was saying. Sometimes when you do reviews, I can review a guitar and it may be spot on. That's why I want you guys to come back and post, hey, Avery, I bought this guitar and it's nothing like the one that you got. My frets were bad, my tuners, whatever it is. Maybe you even got a good one. Maybe I get a bad one. And that's what I really want. I want to get the worst one. That way, when you guys post, it's nothing but good comments about the product. Everyone works hard for their money. Lord knows I do. Last thing you want to do is spend $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on something and just not get a good guitar. It's very disheartening when you open up that box and go, oh, really? I got one with a scratch going across it, or the UPS guy throws it on the porch and the box is shaped like a taco. And you're like, oh, this is not going to end well.
Jerry wants to know if you had any dealings with BYOG pickups with guitar players.
With P-rails. Why do P-rails sound familiar?
He wants to know if you have any dealings with BYOG pickups too.
BYOG. Builder. I have seen their guitar kits, but I'm not familiar with their pickups, so I can't, Jerry, I can't make a comment on it. I can only comment on what I've played in the past and what the channel's reviewed. And there's so many different products out there. That's why I don't mean to stifle reviews. Okay, when you find something that you like, sometimes, and I'm very, very guilty of this, we're always trying to reinvent the wheel, reinvent the wheel, reinvent the wheel. Sometimes when you find what you like, that's what you like. It's not that we can't step out of that box. Like, I like Super Strats. That doesn't mean that I don't want to pick up a Telecaster. I mean, a Telecaster that sounds like a Telecaster and get that twang. There's things that I want that sound for. There's things that I wanted a Strat for. Certain sounds on a Strat guitar, I just wanted that sound. I just fought with the volume knob. That's why on the last live stream, I showed you my new Squire. It's a Strat body and headstock with Telecaster electronics, the Telecaster volume and stuff. I tell you right now, that guitar is most likely going to stay here because I get all the Strat and Tele sounds without the volume knob issues. So for me, that's a winner. But I find that we end up chasing a sound, and don't do that, guys. We're here because we like playing, and you're going to find yourself spending so much time working on your guitar. I don't like this string. I want to try these strings. And let's not forget that we like playing because we like playing. We want to pick up the guitar and make some music. If the guitar still isn't quite there, I get it. You know, we're always building our rack system. Like I'm facing my rack system here. Everything that I first started with is still in my rack. I've just continuously added to it. Now, a thing that I did that didn't stay, I bought a Line 6 pod. And this is when Line 6 first come out. And everyone was talking about the modeling amplifiers. Well, I bought the Line 6 pods, which was a modeling preamplifier. I was in a band playing out live, and I played it for 2 weeks, pulled it out of the rack, and I went back to Mass GX 2000. We played 2 shows, and a rhythm guitar player came up to me and asked me what I did with the Line 6. And I said, I just didn't bond with the sound. And everyone was like, well, it sounded fine. I just didn't bond with it. I didn't, going back to what we said earlier, I didn't like the workflow on the Line 6. It seemed foreign to me. Trying to just do a basic EQ setting or a change in the reverb, I was pulling my hair out. I was like, oh, this is just not intuitive to me. So I went back to something I was familiar with, something I could do quick changes, and I liked. I ended up selling that to the rhythm guitar player in the band. But you build on that, what you have. And some things you get, you're going to like and you're going to keep. And other things are what I call just visiting. They're here visiting until I find something that I like to replace it, or I have scratched that itch and I no longer have that itch anymore. I've scratched it. Let's move on to the new, latest, greatest thing that everyone's talking about. And she's sitting here, so something important.
SmoothyBuns says you turned this Floyd into an Evertune. Shit never goes out of tune now. I'm going to call the cops.
I like that. SmoothyBun comment. I don't know if you all could hear the significant other in the background reading me the comments. She was supposed to sit out here.
Yeah.
But she's a little camera shy. So I said, well, why don't you sit off to the side and then you can kind of read the comments to me. And she's like, I don't know. I was thinking about, I don't know if you guys, what was the name of the show where the neighbor would always show his face and the fence was like here? It was Home Improvement. Yeah, I figured I'd set up a fence back here and she could just put her head up. SmoothyBuns has a comment. I think that would just be hilarious as hell. But that's cool, Smoothie. We did a tremendous amount of work on that bridge. It's a tank. I can't even really remember. I'll have to go back and watch the video. I'm pretty sure we put a massive solid brass block in that tremolo. I think we added mass by going to stainless steel saddles. I think we changed the arm on it. I think it was a different claw. Actually, I don't think there's anything stock Floyd Rose on that Floyd Rose bridge. I think it's all aftermarket, custom built for your application in that drop tuning. And everyone knows, if you watch, I struggled setting that guitar up for drop tuning. And if you watch a lot of these drop artists, they don't play floating bridges for that reason. The floating bridge is very hard to get these drop tunings to work well. And I really struggled getting that guitar to do what I feel is a good guitar. So I am so happy that the guitar is working. It's still working as it should work. It's been at least a year. So that means the knife edges are holding. So if it starts going out and not holding tune, just let me know. That just means we got to clean up the knife edges. I know we did put a hardened German Floyd Rose base plate in it. So you really should get, unless you're playing it every day, 2 or 3 hours a day, you really should get at least 2 or 3 years out of that base plate before you have to give it a tune-up. I see the chat moving, so I'm going to get caught back up here. And she's waiting. I would recommend Warman pickups for blade. I'm not familiar with that, Smoothie. And that's something else. Now, see, Smoothie's joint, there's probably other comments that I've missed. I want a way, and there's 50,000 people, well, not 50,000. We only have 1,840 subscribers. So out of that 1,840 subscribers, there's got to be someone tech friendly that can help me figure out a system for the live stream. What Smoothie posted, and I believe Trucker Bob had made a post earlier, and I think Daniel, I want the post to be able to come up and be more interactive. I don't really know how to do that. I mean, I can see there would be problems. I mean, it's an open chat. Maybe after the person gets known on the channel and is vetted, then we can open something up and allow them to post. I don't really, the word vet sounds so bad, but if you didn't do something, anyone could join and they could just spam the group. But my goal is really to have a very interactive chat to where we can share things. Now, in the last live stream, when I was editing, if you guys look back, I edited the video for time markers. The live chat was there. For some strange reason today, now the live stream, the chat does not play on the live stream. But there was a window, replay live chat, that wasn't clicked. So I'm assuming it gave me X amount of time to apply that setting, and then it just erased the live chat. I want the live chat to stay there. That way, if someone comes back to the video, they can track along with the topics that's going. So I guess the best thing to do is that you guys say, check out this product. Go down in the comment section right now and type in the product name and maybe enter in a link. I don't know if YouTube will allow you guys to enter in a link, but if you at least type in the product name and it doesn't allow you to do a link, I can go back, find a link to the product, and then post it. I want that information there for everyone that's watching. And then if you are tech savvy, I'm putting it out right now. I need someone to help set the live streams up and get the live stream more user friendly. And before I get back to chat, I do want to say that right now we have no live stream equipment. I have made the change. I called my rep at Sweetwater, and no, they do not give me a discount. I'm treated just like, I didn't even ask for a discount. You know what? I'm calling back. I'm asking for my 10% off. If you ask for 10% off, Sweetwater will usually give it to me, but I forgot. I ordered a Yamaha. I got my little cheat sheet. I ordered the Yamaha AG08. And the reason for it, in the last live chat, everyone said, you need an interface. So I went looking at interfaces, and I do have a Mackie ZLR Pro 16. It was what all the TV stations put in their mobile transmitting vans. That was industry standard. That's what I bought. It's old school. So I needed an interface and something simple to adjust my mic volumes to the guitar volumes and my MPC 61 here, something that I could, do basic settings, and it would USB right into the computer. Well, after talking to my Sweetwater rep and him understanding that I am old school, we both, he felt that the AG08 would be the most comfortable platform for me. He didn't want to put me in a corner, though, and put me out in old school pasture. So he did recommend a Elgato. It's called a Stream Deck. So I ordered a Stream Deck MK2, and I'm supposed to be able to assign buttons on the Stream Deck to do certain things in the live chat. I'm not saying the next live is going to be like a professional, woohoo, wow, he's got it. It's going to take a couple months. But I am dedicated to make this live stream happen for you guys. So we've ordered some stuff. I'm going to use some of my old studio gear that has been sitting around. I'm going to use two SM57s in front of my guitar amp. I'm going to probably use an old SM58 or 57 talking to with a drop down. All that'll go into the Yamaha. I do have a noise gate. I do have a mic preamp. I've got a Mayato MIDI device over here. So give it time. We'll eventually figure out what I need to do to make the live stream better and be able to actually play the guitar and not have the microphone cut out. We're still using the Logitech mic. So unless you guys really want me to try last stream, it did not work. It played one or two notes and it just cut the signal off 100%. So I want to do a better content. So we have ordered some stuff. Let's see how we can make this stuff work. And if you're good at that kind of stuff, setting up YouTube, send me an email. Let's work something out. Moderators and stuff like that. I noticed Mike has not joined the chat, so that most likely him and his wife are out going out to eat. So it looks like I'm going to have to assign one or two other people to be chat moderators, just in case. Who knows? And they also have access to the channel to read comments and stuff through YouTube Studio. So if you all are interested and guys want to do something like that, send me an email and we can discuss it. Now she's giving me the look, so evidently there's something I've missed.
Jerry says he's used Super Slinky NAS forever. He heard great things about the Adagio. He's just never tried it.
Yeah, the Super Slinkies. Is that what we put on? It was funny, right after the live stream, before the live stream, Short Bus was over to the house. He was in the live stream last week. I don't see him in this week's live stream.
He's watching.
But he was here and we did some, he's learning how to play. And evidently no one has shot me in the comments for Siam a guitar with a Floyd Rose bridge, even though he's just learning. I did tell him, fixed bridge. But that's what he wanted. It was so funny. The very next day, or it was that evening, wasn't it? On his way home, the E string popped out of the locking saddle. When he called me, he goes, "Oh, the high E string broke." And I'm like, why would it just, he said it just broke going down the road, going home. And I'm like, well, maybe it could happen. Maybe it tilted. But he brought it over to the house the 2 nights ago. And I noticed on the end of the string, it had the little hook from it setting down into the block. And I was like, no, it didn't break. It come loose from the bridge. So we put new strings on his. No, we used NY. We used my standard. What were they? The NYN something?
NYXL?
Yeah, the NYXLs on his guitar. Yeah, we spoke about the Super Slinkies on last live stream. I have not put those on a guitar yet. I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking. Hold on. I'm thinking the Super Slinkies on this guy. That's what I'm thinking. This still has the factory Fender strings on it. I like them, but let's be straight. Fender has, this is their budget guitar. So they're not putting their best strings on this guitar. They are doing a budget version. So I'm thinking about putting the Super Slinkies or the XLs, either Super Slinkies or XLs on this. I am going to do some experiments. I'm going to take a little piece of blue tape. I'm going to write on the back of the headstock what the string is. That way I get a better understanding of what I like.
SmoothyBuns said that gold is hot.
I'm telling you, everyone talks about budget guitars. If you missed last week's show, budget guitars now, it's inflation, it's gas, it's groceries. Everybody knows everything's really went up in the last 3 years. I'm going to say now a budget guitar is anything from $200 to $350. That's not saying you can't get a nice budget guitar for $200. I still think there's some out there for that. I think there's some out there for $250. the Squire that I just showed you, in my opinion, doesn't need anything. The tuning keys are good. The pickups are good. The fretwork is good. It's just a solid instrument. And I paid $329 for that guitar. Now, granted, it went on sale. Okay. Fender sent out an email to all their vendors, Sweetwater, Guitar Center. Everybody had it for the exact same price, on sale at the exact same time. That's the flag telling you Fender has told its vendors, these need to go on sale. We need to get rid of them. $329 for that guitar. That's nice. If you got to put strings on it, it's no big deal. When you get a Firefly, what's the first thing everyone says? Put strings on it. So putting strings on a new purchase guitar, especially anything under the $600 price point, I think everyone should pretty much know you're going to have to put strings on it. So I'm thinking about putting those on that guitar. And I'm really getting behind on the balanced one says tool time. So I don't know if that was I don't know if that was to the group or whatever.
No, that was to you talking about me getting fence.
Oh, tool time. Yeah. I'm way behind on the chat, guys. He was talking about when I was talking about Linnell being behind the fence. And Juke 5000 has joined the group. I see that he's made a comment.
SmoothyBuns says you got to review his Hello Kitty Squire.
Oh, did SmoothyBuns get a Hello Kitty guitar?
Well, he's not the only one.
Oh, I missed that. Smoothie, if you bought, that's the reason I didn't get it.
Bryce has a Hello Kitty also.
Bryce has got a Hello Kitty too?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are awful. Just saying. Because we looked and we looked and we looked and nobody had them. And you can find them on Reverb for $700, $800. Oh, I'm not. That's like a scalper that buys Super Bowl tickets for whatever and then doubles them. I told her, she goes, well, if you want it, go ahead and get it. I said, I'm not paying $850 for a Hello Kitty guitar when Fender lists them for $500 with the case. I'm not doing it. But I looked everywhere for one and could not find one. So if someone has it, I am beyond jealous. I really want to play one. And it's a Hello Kitty guitar. It's got to be cool. I want to play one. My local shop, they're a Squire dealer, and they have these like little racks. So I walked in, and I saw the hot pink, and it was Stratocaster shaped. And I told Linnell, I said, they've got a Hello Kitty guitar. And I went to grab it, and it was just a pink regular Stratocaster. It didn't have I'm like, oh. And you knew they set it that way to see how many people would run up to it just to see if it was a Hello Kitty guitar.
SmoothyBuns is pink.
Yeah, his is pink. They had a pink one and a white one, Smoothie. And I could have got the white one. Fender.com did show that they had a white one. And I was kind of like, nah, I think I want the pink one, like the pink Vandenberg. So I think I want the pink one. But we ended up not getting it. And they ended up buying the Squire I just showed you at my local store for $329 in place of the Hello Kitty guitar. So it doesn't look like I'm going to get my Hello Kitty guitar. But if 2 subscribers have Hello Kitty guitars, I may have to reach out to somebody to get a Hello Kitty guitar to review.
Trucker Bob had said Kahler solved all the drop tuning issues with one magic screw. That's why Kahler is better.
Yeah, Kahler did a lot of really cool things. I brought my other guitar out because last week we talked about the difference between the Floyd Rose and the Kahler, and I brought this Peavey out. But the drawback between the Kahler that's on this Peavey is this was after the lawsuit. So I can't really show you what I wanted to show you all on this particular one. If you give me 2 seconds, I will show you a Kahler killer. And if you haven't seen one, since I started talking about it, it's not me, it's other channels. Since I discussed the Kahler killer, you could find them sometimes for $400. Now, a used beat up one is selling for $800 just for the bridge. So let me grab the guitar that actually has the killer in it, and let's talk about the Kahler killer. Everyone has a guitar that they have just played and played and played and played and played. This is my 1987 Peavey Nitro Active. They made very, 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 very few of these guitars. Shenandoah Music, I was very young at the time. He was a Peavey dealer. Roger was the owner of the store. And he knew that I liked playing hair music. And I walked into the shop and he had one of these Peavey Nitros. Now, before you all say anything, the stock guitar did not have this pickup. It only had the factory pickup, volume and tone. And I have since added another volume for the second pickup and another tone and a three-way switch. The guitar is active, and I guess it was about 30 years ago I ran two 9-volt batteries in series, making this an 18-volt active system. And this is the bridge. That is the original Kahler killer. And in my professional opinion, it is the best bridge that was ever built. And you can see how low profile the deck is on that bridge. The ramp right here is very minimal. And look how much deck that you have to rest your palm on before you come back into the tuners. It is just a monster tremolo. This guitar has been played so much that I don't know if you can see in the frets. It has well, they look like mountains and valleys. I'm a guitar tech. But even though I'm a guitar tech, I know these frets are worn down to the point where leveling and crowning is not going to fix it. It needs a refret. I played the guitar professionally out live for about 15 straight years. This was my go-to guitar, even over my Peavey Vandenberg. These were the two guitars that I had on the stage. I had this guitar, the Vandenberg, and I had another Nitro that was humbucker single, but it was passive. And I only played that guitar if something happened to this one. This guitar was played on certain songs. This guitar was, but I only played the third guitar if something happened to this one. So that the hours of playtime that's on this particular guitar, as I really can't tell you. And again, the video really isn't showing all the damage on the guitar. There are dents, scratches, chunks missing out of the guitar. There's a big chunk on the bottom there missing. The back of the guitar, notice it says no. Well, when you were playing, you'd flip the guitar up. And if I lose a subscriber because of this, please don't. I was young and dumb. But it used to say, no lot lizards. I've since took the lot lizards off. And the yellow striping, you can still see it a certain way. You can see the dark blue stripes in it. It had yellow striping that went not like the EVH. It was more like a pinstripe 60s slap in your face bright yellow striping that was on the guitar, and then it would flip over and it would say no lot lizards.
Jerry says it's for character.
Yeah, the guitar does. It has character. Again, unless I'm down to my last can of beans, I don't plan on selling this guitar ever. I went from being a learning guitar player all the way up to a professional musician with this guitar. And I know, I don't know how many, you all can chime in if you disagree or you agree. I think finding an instrument that you're comfortable playing means a lot. You get familiar with that instrument. You get familiar with the way it frets. You get familiar with the scale length. You get very familiar with the guitar. And I think that gives you a base to continue to learn on. Now, before I say that, I'm going to say something about picking up a different guitar. Sometimes you can pick up a different guitar and it just makes you play differently. That's why I want to qualify what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you're learning, I think there's something to be said with sticking with the same guitar until you get to a certain point. Then at that point, opening up your palette, your different paints, your different colors, your guitar, that can spawn a different way of playing, a different feel, a different attitude from a player. And that still happens to me today. If I pick up the Squire I just showed you, I usually don't play quite as aggressively on that guitar. If I pick up this Vandenberg, I'm playing aggressively. I'm bending the strings. I'm playing aggressive. If I pick up my Epiphone Les Paul, I'm usually playing more early 80s stuff, late 70s stuff on that guitar, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I'm going to put this guitar back in the case and you guys can, put in there what you think. Oh, one other thing about this bridge, this one you have to unthread the bar. So the bar does thread in like a Fender bridge. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Kahler. This is a Kahler 2700. It is not the 2710. It is the original, made for 1 year only, 2700. The 2710, they added a bigger furling on the back. It's more gritty. And they upsized the screw posts. Because if you can tell, my one post right here is crooked. And that was one of the problems Dave Kahler had with this design. The first gen screws were a little too small and they would actually bend. So in the second gen, the Kahler Killer 2710, they put larger posts in. That was really the big change right there, was the larger posts. I'll stick this back in the case. So what am I missing? Anything that I need to talk?
Well, Bryce said that he has the Japanese version.
Japanese version of the Vandenberg. Bryce, the Japanese version of the Vandenberg. I'm assuming you mean the V-type. I think that's what Peavey called their import version was the V-type.
And Jerry says, in his opinion, for a budget of $500 or so, you can build a beast that runs with the $100 guys.
You can. Jerry, you're 100% correct. At the $500 price point, you can take a budget guitar, and if you do the work yourself, you can have a guitar that's going to rival $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 guitars. You can do it all day long. I am not denying that whatsoever. What I do want to say is, like the Squire, not the Squire. Last week I showed you my Fender FMT Telecaster. It's a set neck Telecaster. I actually paid the music store to set that guitar up to my spec. And you're like, well, why in the world would you do that? And just take it home, set it up. It comes a time where you just want to buy something. You want to buy it, pull it out of the box, and it's right. And when I bought the Fender, I wanted to make sure it was right. I knew their tech. I have a lot of respect for him. He's the only tech that I will let touch my guitars, and that's the guy at Shenandoah Music. He set the guitar up. I give him a week. That's what he said he needed. Went, picked the guitar up, and it's spot on. But me paying the tech and buying the guitar and getting the case for the guitar, because the guitar was $1,000, the case was $150, and then $100 to the tech. Well, that's a $1,250 guitar. So can you take a Firefly at $300 with shipping, another $150 for the case? You've got a lot of money there. You've got $600 and some odd dollars to buy pickups, tuning keys. You sky's the limit. At $600 and some dollars, you can put Fishman Fluence in there at $300 a set. You can just go all out and still be way under the $1,250 mark. There's, like I said, sometimes there's just a point where you just want to buy something. That's why I point at the Squire. I just bought that, and I think it's great. I don't really think the guitar needs anything. I would take that guitar out, and I would play it just as it is. And I think the root of this channel is to either find budget guitars and let's fix them, okay? Bring them up to a professional level like we did the Firefly FFMN. I think I did a really good series on that. If you haven't seen that, you can go back and watch it. It's a great series. Also, find the diamond in the rough. I believe that Nashville Stratocaster is a diamond in the rough. Could you put better pickups in it? Sure. I think that's all it needs. It doesn't need that. But if you really wanted a next level instrument, you could, Dylan Talks Tone. He has a YouTube channel. Some people don't really like Dylan Talks Tone. I like his channel because he's no BS. He gives you his opinion, and he's firm about his opinion. You either like it or don't like it. He doesn't care. That's his opinion. He's going to build and sell what he feels is good. He doesn't care what you think. But he does make a set of Nashville pickups that I think would be awesome in the Squire. So put those pickups in it and do a fret polishing. I wouldn't level it. Just polish up the frets. And you would have a guitar that would compare to any Fender product at any price point. You just would. And you wouldn't have $600 on it. You'd have about $550 on it. And it would be spot on perfect. So I'm not saying that I always do that because you can't see it right over in the chair over here. I have a Kramer Beretta. It's a second gen. It's not the original Kramer Beretta. That guitar was like $900. Okay. And then I bought the guitar that Smoothie was with. He was with me at Guitar Center. That guitar was $550 or $600. It was a heck of a deal for the Kramer Knights one. But I don't have to do anything to it. I didn't have to put the pickups in it. I didn't have to do the fret leveling. I just went in, played it, fell in love with the guitar, and bought it. I think that's a. Sometimes even us tech guys just want something that we don't necessarily have to work on, if that makes any sense. And that's taking it for someone that does how-to videos on how to fret level. I love doing it, but there are guitars out there, guys, that we can buy that don't need all that work. You know, if I review a guitar and it's perfect, and then Firefly does a second production run, and they just said, oh, you know, Music and Gear and all these other channels have really hopped up this guitar, so we're going to sell them. Let's cut quality. And on the second production run, we're going to ride the wave of what these YouTubers did. That's why I always ask you guys to post, especially if it's a second production run, third production run, fourth production run. Hold these companies accountable to what they made, because that reputation goes out on that product. Other people buy it. So if you bought it, you're not happy with it, come back, post on the channel so other people know. Then contact whoever it is, whether it's Leo James, Guitar Gardens, Squire, Fender, Jackson, Sweetwater. Say, no, this is not what I was expecting based on the reviews that I saw. And that's how you hold people accountable. Make them accountable for it. And I'm going back to the chat. Jerry, how a guitar feels in the hands outweighs the looks. I agree with you. How the guitar really feels, again, went to Sweetwater, picked up that polka dotted Kramer. It was just something about it. I had to have it. And when that happens, guys, don't think that you can come back next week and that guitar is going to be there. Went in, how long ago has it been? The Sire. I'm looking for a Sire, L7V with the P90 pickups. I want one. Went into Guitar Center. They had a used one. Now, new they sell for, I think, $670 or $660, something like that. Guitar Center had it for $550 used. There wasn't a scratch on it, guys. I mean, it looked brand new. I played it, and this thing just played so good. It sounded so good. I was bonding with it. Before I walked in the store, I told Linnell, we're not buying anything over $500. That's my limit. Nothing over $500. I'm sticking to my guns. Well, the guitar was $550. So I go up to the sales guy. I'm like, I kind of like this guitar. Can you do any better on it? I can do $5. And the guy goes, no, I can't sell you the guitar for $500. And I looked at him, I said, well, I can get it brand new right now at Sweetwater for, $650. Because, it was like $670. I said, I can ask for a 10% discount. My salesman's going to give it to me. So I'm probably going to be right at $630, $650 with tax. I'll do $500 plus tax on this guitar. And he said, can't do it, man. I should have it was $50. It's $50. But at the time, I was so headstrong on not spending over $500. I go to McDonald's with my little one and my significant other. I'm going to spend $40 at McDonald's. So $50 prevented me from getting a guitar that I really bonded with, that I really want. And I went back the next week because I said, that was a good guitar. I need to go back and get it. It was gone. So when you walk into a store and you pick something up and you bond with it, you might play 5 or 6 more of that exact same guitar and just not get that feeling that you got from that initial playing of that guitar. So always keep that in mind, guys. And the puppy dogs are just going to town in the basement. So I need to get caught back up again. Yeah, Jerry is talking about boiling strings. I have heard about boiling strings. I personally have never boiled my guitar strings. That doesn't mean that it doesn't do anything. I just never have. In Juke 5000, I played a Jem Jr. today. It played way better than the other $1,500 plus guitars hanging on the wall. I've thought about the Jem Jr. My local music store is an Ibanez dealer. And there for a while, he always had a Jem Jr. on the wall. He has since added ESP, LTD, and Gretsch to what they carry. So now they're carrying a little less of the Ibanez, a little less of the Fender, and a little less of some of the other Squires. And he's carrying ESP, E2, LTD, and Gretsch. So he's trying to cover a lot of different products. But I've been thinking about, again, getting something like that. I was really wanting a Jem, and I believe it's the Jem 777. I think that's the model number. It's a 7LV7 something. The model numbers get me messed up. It's the baby blue one that they made about 8 years ago. It has the full tree of life all the way down. Some of the 555s, the tree of life only goes to the 12th. That was a cheaper model they made. You can get those for about $800. But this particular one, the baby blue one, does have the full tree of life. And it seems like used, they only go for about $1,200, $1,300 in mint condition. So I was thinking about maybe one of those, or you could get the new floral one for like 15 or 1600. Of course, the new P is like $5,000, which is crazy money. But I've thought about a Jem Jr. a couple times. It doesn't. I know I can take the Jem Jr. If I did a fret level polish and a setup, it may not even need a fret level and polish. Let's just say you get a really good one. All you got to do is really polish out the frets, do a good setup on it. Worst case scenario, you may have to change out the tremolo base plate because it's using their cheaper Ibanez Edge system versus some of the other Jem models. You may need to go to Goth and get the hardened plate metal and just change that out after a year or two. I believe that, and I'm pretty sure the Jem Jr. is not using the better pickups. What's it, DiMarzio? I believe that is an Ibanez Brown pickup in the Junior. Smoothie, did you read SmoothyBuns' comment? Yeah, she read. She got a kick out of that.
He's talking about the same guitar you had when I first met you, right?
Yeah.
Like 30 years ago?
Yeah, 30 years. You know, one thing you say, if it's got, the guitar never says no. I can't say that about the significant other or my guitar. They're both willing to play. So I've got a good woman. I've said it a million times before. She puts up with musician. You know, the one that, oh, I think I can squeeze by until next payday. I want to get this. And there has been times where I've done that. And she understands that I have a love for music. And I have never done anything bad enough where I haven't been able to put food on the table or provide for the family. There is a line, guys. We have to be responsible musicians. You know, let's put family first, and then our guitar love second. Even though it's a close second, we still have to make sure our loved ones are taken care of. So I try to do that for her, and in response, she takes care of me. So it's a win-win. And then we got Jerry again. Heard good things about the Jem guitar kit on Amazon. There was about 2 years ago, a lot of guys building the Jem out of the kit. And I can't remember, I don't remember which YouTube channel it was. They had bought all 4 versions. I think BYOG had a kit. There was, I'm not up on all the DIY guitar kits out there, but I think he had 4 different kits. I'm sure that you could type it in and find out who did it. And he went over the pluses and the cons of each kit. I don't know. If I was going to do it, I would probably just get the Ibanez. And the main reason for that is it's already painted. If I have to go do a fret leveling and polish, I don't have to worry about painting the guitar and polishing the body to a mirror-like finish. All that hard work is already done. And I don't have to worry about spraying the poly and the 2K polyurethanes in the house, stinking up the house. Let them build the guitar. I pay the $500 for it, and then I'm just going to take it to the next level by dressing it up, making sure it's just spot on. I really don't personally have a problem doing that. None of the Hello Kitty. I don't. Bryce said none of the Hello Kitty, so I don't know where he was going with that one. No on the Hello Kitty guitar. I love Hello Kitty. That's just me. Yeah, Smitty, you all must be talking about something in the background. He's like, damn, dude, just pick up another set of strings. That was another reason I picked up the strings the other week. I think the NYXLs, and this is just me, I think they're eating into my frets a little bit. Maybe I'm praying a little more aggressively than I used to. But I wanted to lay off that string for a little while and try some different strings. I do know that I like the String Joy strings. I'm just trying to find something that's going to be comparable to those that aren't $20. So strings are getting pricey. It's just, I think the cheapest set I bought was $7, and it's $7 a pack. That's pretty cheap for Super Slinkies. You really, I mean, I remember paying $8 for strings 20 years ago. And I qualify that. As soon as I say that now, string prices next week are going to double. I have the bulk, Jerry, I've got it coming from Amazon, the NYXLs. I get 3 sets of strings every month. And I'm getting ready to cancel that order and switch to something else. Pretty much everything I have has those strings on it. And I think I want to start dabbling in some different strings.
He buys strings in bulk. He was talking about boiling the strings. The EVH did that in the 80s, but Jerry bakes his and achieves the same result.
Yeah. I don't know. I just remember people talking about boiling the strings. I don't know if there was a reason behind it or not. It might have something to do with stretching the strings, helping them relax. Yeah, $50 is equivalent to, right. Things change in price, guys. So we just got to keep that in mind. So I need a little break from talking. So if you guys want to post the next topic up, I'm gonna take a quick drink. And if I lost my 2 subscribers because I smoked on the last live stream, I apologize. But I am a smoker. And I don't ever want to be something that I'm not. The live stream, this is me. This is just who I am. I'm not a mean person. If anyone takes anything I say the wrong way, it was never meant to be mean. I don't talk bad about other companies. Sometimes we just take things, sometimes not the way it was intended. So I don't want to offend anybody by smoking, but I am a smoker. So I'm going to go grab my ashtray and I'm going to let the chat move a little bit. And that's why I'm kind of wanting a more interactive chat window with the group. Because believe it or not, after its live stream's been 1 hour and 47 minutes, and I actually do feel it in my throat. It's hard to talk for that long, guys. So let me go grab an ashtray real quick. I don't know where it is. What's funny is, as I walked into the kitchen, I looked at Linnell's phone because she's watching the transcript. And as I had already gotten up and walked into the kitchen, but as I went into the kitchen, I looked at her phone because she's watching the messaging. It showed me just getting up. So I have a hard time remembering that chat is actually about 10 seconds behind what I'm actually talking with. And I've really struggled, especially in the last live stream, keeping the chat in line with the video. And that's just because of the delay that from what I'm talking about right now to when you all see it, and then you're able to type. There's probably a good, I'm going to say 15 seconds between one to the next. So it's not, when you type in, it's not that I may not be seeing it or responding to it. There's a large delay between the two. So if I don't see the chat move and I'm talking about something, I might jump to the next topic. Okay, then you type in, then all of a sudden you hit enter and you're like, well, he just changed topics. It's because there's a delay there. So I don't even know that you responded to it in time, and I've already switched to the next topic. So that's all it's about. And I'm hoping that's what happened last time. We're hoping to work the bugs out and get a little bit better.
Sue wants to know, with locking tuners, what strings break when you release the wheel lock?
Okay. With locking tuners, basically, I want you to look at it this way. Pretend this is the ferrule. This is the neck of the tuner, and you run the string through the sleeve that's actually in the tuner here. Okay? Well, that sleeve is hollow. So when that string goes through, it goes through the string, through the tube like that. Right here, where my finger is, a pin comes up through, and it pushes on the bottom of the string. And what that does is the string goes through the hole, and that pin comes in through the back, pushing on that string, so it puts a kink in the string. That's what locks the string in this barrel. When you take that string out and you straighten it, it's put a kink and it weakens it, and it's always going to break right there. When Fender first come out with their locking tuners, I had a guitar with the Fender American with locking tuners. If you over tightened the tuners, it would snap the string and the string would pop right out. Every time. So get used to your particular locking tuner and don't over tighten it. Now I've noticed with like the Firefly, you can really tighten the Firefly locking tuners up. I have not had a problem with the Goth locking tuners tightening them up. But I did have a problem with the Fender locking tuners. When you tighten them down, it actually breaks the string in the post here, and it doesn't lock it. When it breaks over top of that pin, it actually comes out of the post, and you've wasted the string. So if you're having that problem, don't put that much pressure on the string when you tighten the locking nut. It really doesn't require much, especially once you put a half a wrap on the string. It has to pull through that 90. It puts a hook in the string, so it has to be able to pull that out. It doesn't take much pressure pushing on the bottom of the string to actually lock it. So if that was the problem you were having, every brand's a little different. I haven't had any problems with any other brand other than Fender. And every time I over tighten the Fender ones, it would break the string and it would fly out. There could be other brands that do it, but I've only personally had a problem with the Fender. You know what's sad, Jerry? I quit smoking for 8 years. And if everyone's familiar with the channel, you know that I lost my mother, I lost my father. The last 2.5 years have been really hard on me. About 4.5 years ago, almost to date, almost 5 years now, I was having a hard time with my mother and father. They had dementia, and I was having a very stressful day at work. And I had quit for 8 years. And I said, well, I'm going to swing by, get a drink. I went in to get a Monster. I'm still addicted to Monsters. And I went up to the counter and I saw the cigarettes sitting up there. And I hadn't smoked in 8 years. And once a smoker, always a smoker. I don't care if you've quit for 10 years, you're still going to have that urge. I bought a pack. I had 1 cigarette. 3 days later, I had 2 cigarettes. 3 days later, I had 4 cigarettes. And within 6 months, I was back to smoking again. So it is a bad habit, I'm not going to say, and it's an expensive habit. But I have come to the determination that I am a smoker, and I don't play live music anymore, so I'm not overly concerned about blowing out my voice. I'm not screaming into the microphone like I did when I was in my 30s. So be it.
Bryce says, Hello Kitty Fender guitar has 3 versions, 1 pink, 1 white, and a Japanese exclusive.
Yeah, I'm sure the one Japanese version of the Hello Kitty guitar, Linnell's coming in and telling me about the chat.
Bryce has the Japanese.
Bryce has the Japanese one.
Hello Kitty.
I'd have to look it up, but I know on the Fender end, some of the made in Japan Fenders are going for crazy money right now. Like some of the earlier made in Japan Fenders, they just had some kind of mojo magic. And if you've got a certain model number from this date to this date, they just go for crazy money. And I have been hearing some MIM made in Mexico Fenders are now coming out to where if you bought in this window, that they were just crazy good too. So the Japan craftsmanship, like the ESP, I believe the E2 is actually Japan made, and the ESP is USA made. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there. But Japan made products are usually very nice products. The Japanese are very dedicated workers, and they have a lot of pride in their craftsmanship. So there's no doubt in my mind that the Japanese would make a good product. And I'm going back. Bryce says, yeah, he's got the Japanese. And then Jerry, it was money choice for me. Gear or cigarettes? Yeah, I can see that. And I have laid off, guys. When my mother was living here, my father had passed away, and she had Alzheimer's, and she was not able to really be by herself. There were some issues. So I moved her into my home, and my smoking went to probably 2 packs of cigarettes a day. The doctor, everyone told me how difficult it was to have a loved one at home with dementia and Alzheimer's. And I could honestly say it was extremely difficult. But my job as a son is to take care of them. They took care of me for 18 years, changing my diapers, teaching me right from wrong, everything that parents have to do with their kids. It was my obligation to make sure my mother and father last 4 or 5 years of their lives that they were taken care of. That's just my opinion. I didn't want them to go to a nursing home. I know how I work. I know how much free time I have, and I wanted to be able to come home and see them. So my smoking went really to a next level during that phase. So I have cut back. I'm at probably a little over a pack a day now. So I need to cut it down a little more, but I'm doing much better. Yes, the ESP E2 Eclipse. I have seen the Eclipse model, and I'm fortunate because my local music store has just started carrying the ESP LTD. They just got in an E2 Eclipse. If I remember correctly, that guitar was $2,500 that was hanging on the wall. I could be wrong. It was over $2,000, but it was a stunningly beautiful guitar. I did not take it off the wall and play it, but I did notice they had an E2 up on the wall. When I was playing, there was no E2. Okay, we had ESP was really big. You had guitar players like George Lynch playing ESP. And ESP was just, well, it was a lot like Kramer. You couldn't go into a store and see a basic Kramer. That's why Kramer come out with Striker line. That was pretty much their cheaper, you don't build it to spec. We're just going to have, I believe it was ESP that was making the necks for Kramer at the time. There was 2 different companies making necks for them. So they pretty much outsourced the whole Striker line. When you walked into stores that carried Kramer, 99.9% of the time, that was the Kramers they had. They didn't have the standard Kramers like the Pacer Imperials, the Berettas. Then they made, there was another one. It was very similar to the Imperial, the Pacer Imperial. It was Master Studio or something like that. That was their flagship guitar. And back in the 80s, that guitar was $2,000. And that was like the holy grail Kramer guitar. And ESP was the exact same way. ESP was another holy grail guitar. It was $1,600, $2,000. Now that I think about it, there was a couple. You had Jackson Custom Shop. You give them the specs, they built the guitar. It was out a year, and it was going to be $2,000. There was a company called Zion, made 27, 32 fret guitars, all custom order, crazy good, $2,000 to $3,000 for one of their custom guitars. The late 80s, early 90s were just, there were so many awesome guitar companies out there that we could get. I'm going to qualify that. I think right now we live in the best time to buy guitars. And I say that because back then you couldn't spend $300 and get anything. You were not getting a guitar for any less than $800 that was worth anything. I truly believe this is the golden age of guitars, whether it's made in China, Korea, Indonesia, Japan. There's guitars made in the UK now, Russia, Brazil, and they're, for the most part, everything is actually pretty decent. It really is. You get into the $500 price range, odds are it's going to be a good guitar. Odds are really anything over 300. It's going to be a good guitar. It may have some so-so pickups in it and so-so tuners on it, but it's going to be far better than a $500 guitar from '85. Because back then, you wasn't getting anything. I paid, well, I didn't. I guess it would have been about '81. My father bought me an Ibanez Roadstar 2. It had 3 single coil rail pickups and the Ibanez tremolo. And it was $600. And that was a tremendous amount of money for an Ibanez Roadstar 2. This is not the Steve Vai Ibanez that everyone knows. This is when Ibanez was still, I'm going to call them a clone company. They were cloning the Les Paul, cloning the Strat. They still really hadn't found their way yet at being Ibanez. We're good. They were still an unknown brand back then. And now the Roadstar, it's considered a good guitar, but that guitar was, I want to say my father paid $650 for that guitar. There wasn't a $300 guitar to buy. Not like there is now. I'll go back to the chat and see what you guys are saying. I have a Fender Strat and it has a neck plate that is somewhat triangle shaped, not rectangular or square. It has a big a la head stock. Got it at a flea market, $200.
He also said somebody put EMGs in it, 1 humbucker and 2 singles.
If it's got, all right, I'm going to grab the Squire off the wall here. I'm not a Fender aficionado by any stretch of the imagination, but this round section of the headstock, from what I understand, in the 70s, Fender made this round spot right here really big. It's an oversized headstock piece right here. I believe that was a 70s thing. So it may be a 70s, and then they went back to the smaller in the 80s. Now, I do know Fender has since, on some models, they still go back to the larger round section on the neck. If someone in the chat knows more about that, I do know that they do change that back and forth. And you can see it on the Squire line. All the 70s vibe Squires have the large round headstock. And the 60s and the contemporary, like this one, they have the small nose. So you either have a newer one when they started re-releasing that, or it's a 70s. And if it's got the EMGs in it, they're SAs, they're good pickups. Now, EMG did make an SA, it was Gilmore, the Gilmore set, the guy from Pink Floyd. They were phenomenal. They had just tweaked them for David Gilmour's rig. So he had went in and changed the windings on them and how the EQ curve was on the pickup. Those are the only single coil EMGs I've ever run with the Gilmore ones, and I loved them. So if you've got that Fender with the EMGs, it's going to sound good, and they're naturally quiet because they're active. This guitar, today I plugged this guitar in after playing one of my humbuckers, and I'm not going to say it's noisy, but I did noticeably hear a hum difference in my high gain amplifier because of the single coil pickups. They're single coil, so they're going to have a little bit more noise. The EMGs are just going to be dead quiet. It's not going to be like a passive wound pickup in a single coil. That's why David went to that, because he used so many effects, so many digital reverbs and algorithms in his rack mount equipment. Unless he could quiet up his input signal, it would amplify and repeat all those noises. So he liked the single coil sound, he just wanted it less noisy. So I think the David Gilmour set from EMG it's going to be a nice quiet pickup with good sound.
He also says he loves the guitar. He got it about 20 years ago.
Oh, you got it 20 years ago. What? Say 20? Yeah. That would be right at 2000. So the 70s, most likely people were kind of frowned on them. It's like the 70 era Gibsons. I have a 70 era Gibson, and I really shoot myself for selling it. I had a factory Gibson custom shop Kalamazoo Gibson Explorer that I bought off G&M Music, which technically is still in business, but they're more of a used guitar shop now. Back then, that was the only music store local to me. There wasn't really guitar centers. I was maybe 13 or 14. I had the Ibanez, and I wanted a better guitar. And the older people that I was playing with, it was Fender Gibson. That's just what you bought. You wanted a nice guitar, you bought a Fender, or you bought a Gibson. And I don't even remember anybody really saying anything about Epiphone or Squire. They had to exist, just really nobody had them. So I walked in, they had this Gibson. I believe this would have been in the 80s. The guitar never sold. I'm pretty sure it was a 70s era custom shop. And it was black, and it looked like someone threw white paint on it, little squigglies. It had a factory-mounted Gigsby tremolo on it. And the guitar was just ridiculously priced. When I say it was ridiculous, I want to say it was $1,600 or $1,700 for this guitar. And it would have been early 80s, mid 80s, something in long. They let me make payments on that. I was making $3 an hour and going to school. I took my whole paycheck down every week. It took me a year and a half to pay that guitar off. Nowadays, the 90-day layaway window wouldn't have cut it. But I had that guitar. And now people back, when I went to sell it like 10 years later, people were like, oh, you know, that was the era Gibson no one wants. They're not good guitars. Now I see the 70s era Gibsons are going for, the values are going up. Those 70s and early 80 model Gibsons, Fender had the exact same issue. I think they called it the CBS era of Fender, where everyone's, oh, the quality went down. They went from the black face twin reverb to the silver face. I had a silver face twin reverb. I'll put it out there. The best, loudest, clean amplifier money can buy. If you want to play really super clean and super loud, you need an old school Fender twin reverb. It's 120 watts of cut your head off, super clean country tone. The only amp to buy. But no one wanted them. So I had that amp, a Fender. It was a 68, no, 69. Might have been a 70. Now I think it was a 70. It was silver face, CBS era. I had that and the Gibson. And I was, I don't know, 23, 24. And I remember taking it into Culpeper, Virginia and selling it. And I sold both. And you guys are going to kill me. I sold both for $1,100. Yeah, $1,100. And at the time, I thought that was a good price. Looking back on it, I don't know what I was thinking. We all grow as musicians, and I was playing a lot of hair music, and the Twin Reverb just wasn't playing hair music. And the Gibson with the Gigsby on it, I wasn't doing dive bombs with a Gigsby. So it just wasn't what I needed. I look back on it and I play so much better now. I wish I had that amplifier. I wish I had that guitar. I wish I would have just never sold them. Now that guitar, 3,000-4,000 for that Explorer. And that amp, mine was mint, didn't have a spot on it. Even though it was a silver face on Reverb, not saying they sell for this. I see them listed for about $1,500 to $2,000 for the silver face 70s in mint condition. But we live and learn, guys. Even now with reviewing guitars, I reviewed a Burl Top Valgoa. Beautiful instrument. I didn't want to sell it. It stayed downstairs. I wanted to put better pickups in it and stuff. And there were so many guitars that I reviewed that I really bonded with that I thought were great budget guitars. All they needed was a little something, something. I have since went through a lot of my guitars and sold off some that I said I was going to go back and modify and do videos on to free up money for more product to do reviews on the future. Will I go back 20 years from now and someone say, hey, you know, this was an Amazon guitar. Come to find out this thing was a diamond in the rough. If you've got one, it's worth $5,000 now. I just know that that's going to happen. I know that I reviewed that guitar and I sold it for $250 after I did a crown polish and fret level. So who knows what the future holds.
Yeah, skip ahead a little bit. Mr. Fats has a question.
What's that, hon?
Mr. Fats, Variety Vibe Show.
Oh, Mr. Fats just showed up, or he just now posted.
Well, it's been there for a while. We were talking.
Hi, peeps.
He wants to know if those Squire models are any good. He hears mixed opinions.
If you're talking about the Squire I just showed, the Nashville, the one that I have is a great guitar. I got it on sale for $329. The pickups in the guitar have a unique sound. I really like the pickups. The bridge pickup, believe it or not, you can get some telly quack out of it, but at the same token, my high gain amplifier, it's mean in the bridge position. Again, when you go to your next position, which is your bridge and your center pickup, again, it's throaty and mean. It calms down. You can do a lot of like 80s blues, like ZZ Top sounds in the center to neck position with some, I'll call it dirt, light distortion. And it also cleans up. I'm not a country player. I really want to start doing the finger picking. Some of these country guitar players are just phenomenal musicians. If you listen to their lead work, but they're picking individual strings. I'm not very good at that. But doing what limited things I can do on the clean channel with some reverb and delay, it has a quack. And you can also get some really cool strat sounds out of it. And the neck position is very warm and full sounding. They are single coils, so they're not fat like a humbucker. It does the single coil thing, and I think for $329, it's an excellent guitar. It does not fret out anywhere on it. And I'm going to qualify that. I have not put a fret rocker on it, so I'm not going to tell you right now that the frets are perfect on it. I haven't checked it. But they're good enough to where, with the setup that's on the guitar, it doesn't fret up anywhere on the neck. The action is just a little higher than I like, and I like 0.07 to 0.06, 0.07 on the low E, 0.06 on the high E. So I'm going to say that this is probably 0.075 and probably like a 0.065, something like that on the high E. I'm throwing a dart and guessing, but I'm guessing that's about where the action is on it. Plays great. The factory tuners are fine. There's nothing wrong with the factory tuners on the guitar. The frets, I've watched some YouTube videos on it, and a lot of people complained about the frets feeling gritty. Mine really doesn't feel gritty. It had a little bit of grit when I first played it, but it wasn't to the point where, oh, I got to do something to these frets. Within 2 weeks, that feel completely went away. It feels smooth. It plays nice. I'm playing all the way across the neck, so they broke in quickly. I don't have any issues with that particular Squire. Squire, in my opinion, is a lot of bang for the buck. You look at the vintage vibe, this Nashville, they've got some really interesting guitars. And it's things that I think the main company, Fender, could do. The new Squire's got a Stratocaster now with P90s in it. And the only reason I haven't bought one, it has the wraparound bridge. It's the single bridge that Gibson used, that style bridge on the Les Paul Jr. Instead of having the two posts where the string goes in the post and over the bridge, it's the wraparound bridge. So this Squire has the wraparound bridge on it. I want to play one. I like P90s, and a Stratocaster with P90s in it would be, in my opinion, that would just be a rocking guitar. But they put the wraparound bridge on it. It might be okay. You're just kind of set on the intonation. With the wraparound bridge, you can't compensate for intonation. It is what it is. There may be other companies that have different tailpieces with different compensations on the strings. And then again, Squire may have gotten it right. The intonation might be fine with the stock tailpiece. I don't know. I just know that Squire does make some really cool products. And that Strat with the P90s, I think that would be cool. They also make a couple Telecasters with like a humbucker up at the neck with a single coil. They've got a one with dual humbuckers, and they're all much cheaper than the name brand, even the Player series. It's cheaper than the Player, and I think it's a better guitar than the Fender Player. Even though the Fender Player is their budget Fender, it really doesn't make any sense to me, because you can spend less money and get a Squire Classic Vibe or whatever the series, it's like a Phenomenal or Paranormal, I think they call it. You can spend less money and really get the same spec, and I think a better quality fretwork on the Squire. The only thing you could say is, do you have the resale on the Fender? I think Fender has so many lines now, they're kind of hurting their resale, because it used to be, oh, it's a Fender, it's USA made. Well, now you got Fender made in Japan, you got Fender made in Mexico, you got Fender made in Indonesia, Fender made in Korea. So does it really matter that it says Squire? How many people are actually buying the USA made Fender? So until we reset how we feel and how we recognize that name brand, I think that's really the only thing. Maybe you're buying the Fender because the resale value, but it's still an import unless you're buying the $5,000 Fender. So why not just get the Squire? Go to the store and play it. I review guitars, And I always tell people, please post if you've got one. Every guitar, I don't care if it's Gibson Custom Shop, Fender Cut, every guitar is going to play a little different. Go and play it. If you can't play it, make sure you order from a company that you can return it. Amazon. I have never had a problem returning a product to Amazon. They ask you why you're returning it, just be honest. Return it. Worst case scenario, it didn't ship directly from Amazon, and it's going to ship when you do your RA back. It isn't going to go to Amazon. It's going to go back to the vendor that sold it through Amazon. Worst case scenario, it takes you a week to get your money. Sweetwater, they got a 30-day money-back guarantee. Even Guitar Center on their used things. Telling you guys, go to Guitar Center's used, check it every day. You will be surprised what you can find used mint on Guitar Center's used. You got 30 days. That's after you receive it. If you don't like it, you can return it to your local Guitar Center in person. You don't even have to necessarily send it back. Just return it to your local Guitar Center. For me, that's 40 minutes away. But at that point, I would rather return it right to that Guitar Center and get my money back than RA it back. Now, granted, you might live in the middle of the desert or somewhere. There's no Guitar Center, and you do have to mail it back. But I do know they have a 30-day window where you can get it, play it. But at that point, I still recommend go to your music store. That's why we're doing the live chat now. I see there's 10. It's been going, and this live stream doesn't seem to be doing as well as the one we did last week. We had 20-some people, most of the time 16. It seems to be going from 15 to 12. That's fine. When I went to music stores, that's what you went for. You went to, so everyone could sit and talk and, man, listen to this. And it was like a little concert. You'd hear the dude over in the corner playing the rhythm. I'm going to play some lead to that. And the guy would hear you, and it would immediately change because he didn't want you playing lead over something he wrote. So, and then you got the battles. One guy's playing this rig and this guitar. He wants to hear, and then you turn on, he goes, well, I can't hear. So he turns up even louder. And it just gradually went crazy. That was the thing. They had chairs and sofas. You could go in, you could talk. You would just talk gear. Now, the music stores are dying off. The local stores aren't doing that. You can't go into Guitar Center now and really just sit down and talk to other musicians. It seems to almost died. So I do recommend everyone just go and try to play it if you can. Support your local. If you don't like it, sure, you don't ask your local Guitar Center, can you give me one in? Because you may not like that one either. At that point, if you like the look of it and you still have that itch, then maybe contact Guitar Center or Sweetwater or talk to your local place and say, when do you plan on getting another one in? I like the guitar. There's something about the way it feels. When this one sells, here's my name and number. Can you call me when you get another one in? And then don't let what your eyes see fool you. And what I mean by that is I would never pick up a Les Paul years ago. Just wouldn't. There's a Les Paul. I don't play music that, what do I need a Les Paul for? There was a lot of years that I would have loved rocking a Les Paul. But my eyes just said, that's not hair metal band enough for me. I need a super shredder. I need a Strat with a Floyd Rose on it. That's what I need. I think of how much I missed not having a Les Paul. Exact same thing with the Telecaster. I remember going in, so play a Telecaster, you're going to like it. So I don't play twangy country music. So I'm not going to play it. Where's your Super Strats? You go find the Super Strats. Go in there, pick up the guitars. If it's a Telecaster, it's a Gretsch, whatever it is, you might be surprised at what you bond with. That just has something, that sound when you plug it in. It's like, I don't know what it is, but this guitar is bad and I don't like it. Or you might just go, I don't know what it is, but this guitar is bad. I hate it. And you may don't shun the guitar. You pick up a bad one. I've picked up some bad Les Pauls, Gibsons, that were horrible. That doesn't mean they're all horrible. There are some Gibson Les Pauls out there that just play like butter, and they've got the sound that'll just phenomenal. There's a reason why it's a Gibson Les Paul. I'm not saying all Gibsons are good, but when you find the good one, keep it. There's a reason why these guitar players, this one's good, and they know it's good. And if they go to sell it, they're going to take it somewhere that's going to appraise it based on it being a good one. When you go to Guitar Center and do a trade-in, they're going, yeah, Gibson Les Paul. They're not taking it to the music exchange. If I knew I had a 70s Les Paul that I knew was really good, I'm not taking it to Guitar Center. I'm going to the music exchange in Chicago, and I'm going to take it in. This is a good one. You guys can sell it. I don't feel like going through the hassle. What will you give me for it? Because you guys can get top dollar for it, because this is a good one. Go into the music store, play them. You'll be surprised what you can find. I'm going to go back, and I see the chat moving, but I'm just yakking away, guys. Yeah, Jerry says something about being a levy of. I've played guitars with wraparound bridges. Like I said, if they got it right, it's a simple design. A lot of manufacturers have done the wraparound bridge. Paul Reed Smith has some models with the wraparound bridge. Awesome. If you get it right, it's right. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It just needs to be right. If Squire got it right, I don't know. I haven't checked one to see if they got it right. And Matt R. Kiesel, around, they stick to California. And I really don't know why they do that. Well, it's California. It is the promised land, was the promised land of the United States. It's the perfect climate, perfect everything. California just has some manufacturing issues now. They've made it really hard for manufacturers to produce in California. But Kiesel's staying there. I got to respect Kiesel for that. I have seen a Kiesel in person, and I will say the finish and the look on the Kiesels that I have seen are next level. I don't know if you all saw Kiesel's last live stream where he was going over the changes for 2025. Man, I'm telling you, every guitar he picked up, the polishing, that it was obvious the amount of polishing that these guitars had done to them. So, I mean, just a mirror-like finish. You can polish a guitar like this one. Okay, this guitar shines. Okay, but if you look, you can still see a wave. See how it's not a crisp polish? If you look like right in here, you can still see like the flutter right there. When you move it back and forth, you can see the flutter and how it reflects. Go back and look at that last Kiesel video. When he moves the guitar, the crisp lines from the lighting, it's not that it's polished. Yeah, it is polished. But the crisp lines from the lighting showing how they arched the body, it doesn't change. That means the sanding and the production level of the guitar is just next level. And then when he said all that contouring they did on the back was done by hand tools, to get that level of crispness in the neck through bodies that he was showing in the polish work, don't expect Kiesel to stay at the price point they are now. Just don't expect it. If you guys want a Kiesel and you want a neck through and you want to spend less than $3,000, I would suggest you get one very soon. If you want a sub $1,800 Kiesel, I suggest you get one very soon. There is no way a company in California can hand build guitars to that level and stay in business and make a guitar for $1,800. That's cheaper than the Jackson I want to buy right now. And that's probably the only reason I haven't gotten the Jackson. An SL27EX is $2,000, made in Korea. $2,000, made in Korea. I can do a custom build order on an A2 Kiesel. I can't go crazy with it. I can't do mood inlays, but I can build a single stage colored guitar like the Jackson, all black. I can put a reverse headstock on it like the Jackson. I can put a humbucker in a single coil like the Jackson. Can I have 27 frets? No. But I can do an A2 neck through 24 fret, and I can be under $2,200 with a neck through. Okay, without the high gloss on the back like the Jackson, where they painted the back of the neck, and they may have used scraps or did some funny, maybe it's neck through down here and then they put a shiplap joint up here. You know, just because it's neck through doesn't mean that they didn't do a shiplap joint. They painted it. You don't know what they've done. With Kiesel, you can specify 3-piece, 5-piece. I don't think they do a 7-piece. I think it's 3-piece or 5-piece. But you know it goes through the body, because you can say, I want a matte finish on the back of the guitar. So right here, they do an angled tape, and it goes to matte. And then the headstock, you get to choose. Do you want the headstock painted? You may even be able to do a neck through at Kiesel for a little less than 22. But the one I priced was right at 23. I could do a nice A2 with a bolt-on neck, Floyd Rose tremolo, single stage color. I priced it for $1,900. Where are you going to get that? There's no way that I'm not. I know people have some issues with Jeff Kiesel being a little brazen or sharp. He's a business owner, guys. He's not being, I'll just say, he's not being a dick. And a lot of people take him as that. He is a lot like Dylan Talk Stone. He has an opinion, and he feels strongly about that opinion. And he wants to build a product that matches how he feels works. Right, wrong, or indifferent about the industry, Jeff Kiesel wants this product at this price point, made in the USA. Go get it. If you don't like it, hey, I don't care. He knows he has a good product at a good price point. And somewhere in that point, because there's only one customer service. We're talking a small company here, guys. I hear a lot, oh, customer service is bad. Well, you're not spending $5,000 on it like a Gibson. At that price at Gibson, and what Kiesel's charging, if they're getting twice the money for every product, they should be able to afford 50,000 customer service agents. They should have a warranty department unmatched, because you just paid twice as much for that Gibson as you did the Kiesel. So at that price point, how can you really say, well, it took them 5 days to get back to me, or it took them 3 days to get back to me? From what I understand, they only have one warranty guy and only like 5 salesmen. I think it's under 50 people total. But if you want a Kiesel, I'd get one soon. There's no way that that company can continue making that product for that kind of money. I think they're a next level instrument. I want to get one. But again, guys, it's about money. I have a hard time spending that kind of money on a guitar. I do. And it's not to say the guitar is not worth it. If I built what Jeff Kiesel was making and I had to do it to that quality level, there's no way I could do it for $1,800. I couldn't do it for $3,000. I know what I charge at work. I would be at the $5, $6, $7, $8,000 price range. By the time you figure your man hours, time, labor, material costs, licensing, all the things that you have to do to be a business. I don't know how they do it, but they're doing it somehow. Go ahead. I couldn't hear you. Oh yeah, it's two. She's saying I might want to wrap it up. It's been 2.5 hours. I don't want to do another 3.5 hour live stream, but if you guys are enjoying it, I can probably go another couple minutes.
Anyway, let Bryce know you will check your email. He sent me.
Oh, and she says to let Bryce know that I'll be checking my email. He says he's sending me an email, so I'm going to double check my email for that. And let me just double check the chat here. Jerry's like, I think those days are gone. However, it hasn't been in a music store for years. I mainly use order, or I do keep my eye at Guitar Center used gear. Yeah, the day of going in and just hanging out is done. And that's why this live stream is here, because musicians need that interaction. You know, what are you playing? How are you getting that sound? What speakers are you using? What strings are you using? That interaction is what we really, that's why we play music. We want to have something to talk about, something that everyone enjoys doing. Same goes for the SG. It's either butter or junk. Yeah, I agree with that. I've never played an SG. I hear once you play an SG, it's love, hate. You're either going to bond with it, you become an SG nut, and that's all you want to play, or you're like, nope, the SG is not for me. I've never played an SG, and there's a side of me that says, no, I'm not going to pick that up because I don't want to shun my Super Shredder. Just what we just talked about. It's the look, and you shouldn't let the look fool you. It's just something about the look, but everyone says, pick it up. Play an SG, they're phenomenal. They're lightweight, phenomenal monsters. I'm not going to doubt anybody because there's too many great guitar players that have played the SG guitar, and that tells me there's got to be something there, just like the Les Paul, just like the Telecaster and the Stratocaster. There's something there. And back to the Kiesel. Yeah, Kiesel's super quality. Yeah, and talking about the truss rod, I'm pretty sure every Kiesel comes with carbon fiber reinforcement. Now, I'm not too sure whether or not the Jackson I was looking at $2,000 neck through had carbon fiber reinforcement or not. But I do know Kiesel, that's standard. You're not paying anything extra for the carbon fiber reinforcement. And I'll say this, the Kramer that we talked about earlier in the stream with the neck going crazy, if that would have been a carbon fiber reinforced neck, odds are I would not have had that problem with that guitar. So if you're a traveling musician, you're playing, bars, gigs, and it's going from your gig vehicle and it's wintertime in to the stage, hot lights, the carbon fiber is going to be a much more stable neck to play out live with. It's not going to move and shift like a conventional guitar neck.
Wayne McConnell said he just finished making an SG out of a piano breadboard.
Wayne McConnell just finished making an SG out of a piano breadboard. I'm not going to claim to know what a piano breadboard is. I play piano just a little bit. I'm not a pianist by any means of the stretch of imagination. But if you're building guitars and repurposing piano parts, most likely that guitar is going to sound awesome. And here's my philosophy on this, and I tell people with acoustics this all the time. Got an acoustic guitar, got a guitar stand, listen to music, take your acoustic guitar or your electric guitar and your guitar stand and set it in front of your household speaker. Every time you listen to music, have that guitar getting hit by the radio frequencies coming out of that driver. It's going to create a resonance in the instrument, and it's going to break down the wood fibers. So if you've taken reclaimed piano wood that's already been used for, let's say maybe it was a very old piano, the fibers have already broken down due to the resonance of the instrument striking the notes. A complete layman here on this topic, but I would say odds are you're going to have one heck of a sounding instrument, just simply because it's a reclaimed wood product from something that was already a musical instrument.
He used a bread cutting board.
Oh, a bread cutting board. Okay. Well, then I don't know how that would work. Now, if it come from a sushi kitchen and the little Chinese guy's going like this, maybe he sushi'd it to the point where it did break down the fiber and the wood to the point where it's going to sound better. But that sounds cool. If you got a thick enough breadboard, it's already laminated together. You could do your basic body right out your neck, and that would be cool. It would be extremely stable due to the lamination process. That would be cool. I don't know if no one liked my little sushi joke. That I'm just saying it might work. I don't know. But building a guitar is next level, guys. I have not done that on this channel. It's been time for me to smoke another cigarette. So if I lose another subscriber over smoking, I'm sorry. We're all human here. 1.5. Yeah, I can see the advantage. I actually never thought about that. But by the time you figure buying the lumber, running it through a planer, cutting out all your strips, laminating it together, then scraping the glue off, planing it back down to your fixed size. I mean, a breadboard's what, $50, maybe $100 for a very nice breadboard with multiple laminations out of exotic woods. That's way worth it versus your glue up stage. I know they can get expensive, $200 or $300, but pretty sure if you went to Amazon or one of these kitchen places for $100, you could probably buy a very thick breadboard cutting section and save all that glue up time. Just mark out for your body, route it out, do your neck pocket. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, it sounds like chop suey, exactly. I mean, it could work the same. I don't know. My little squirrel brain, when I read that, I was thinking, well, how would he take a piano part? But it makes sense now. It's a breadboard that he chopped up. But my philosophy on the speaker thing does work. It especially works with acoustic guitars. If you have an acoustic guitar, keep it in your sound room, keep it next to your drivers, let the sound resonance of whatever you're listening to go into that acoustic guitar. It does open up the wood fibers of the guitar, and it breaks it down, it loosens up the fibers, and over time, the guitar will get a much better sound. When Taylor first started getting popular, they had a machine that would just sit there and strum the guitar. That's all it did, strum. I don't know if Taylor still does this or not, but it would just sit there and strike it. And then it would go up and it would fret a note. It would strike it. La, la, la. It might strike that note for an hour and then change the resonance to a different chord and it would sit and strike it. Now, if I remember, it was like a couple hundred hours of this machine striking the strings on the Taylor instruments to break the guitar in, to loosen up the fibers and the joints, to give it a better sound from the factory. I'm pretty sure it was Taylor that was doing it. So you can do that at home. Just set your guitar next to your speaker cabinet and let it do its thing naturally. Get caught up on the chat again. System of a Down, chop suey. Yeah. Yeah, Juke 5000 says Kiesel does do 7-piece necks. I thought they did a 5. Oh, they do. So they do 3-piece, 5, and 7. Okay. I don't know how wide the strips would be on their 7-piece neck, but After watching the live stream the other day, I think this may be the year where I order a Kiesel. And again, I've been talking about buying the new Peavey Vandenberg for $3,000. I think spending that money at Kiesel is a better investment than giving it to Peavey and then it being made in Russia or wherever the guitar is made. I think I could custom spec a Kiesel well. I think I could be in the $2,500 range and have a far superior instrument over what they're asking for on the Vandenberg or the Jackson. So this year we might see a Kiesel, but I need to keep in mind that we are a review channel. Me reviewing a guitar like that, for the masses, Kiesel's just not going to be something that many people are going to be overly interested in. Is it a cool product? Sure. But it's almost one of those unattainium type guitars. It's cool to watch and watch other people play and talk good about, but is it something that's relatable to 95% of the viewers? Probably not. So I got to keep that in mind as well. I'll read back to the chat. Paid $200. Yeah, for the board. That sounds right. I mean, I'm a woodworker. I program CNC machines and a bunch of other stuff. So I know what it takes to glue something up like that, run it through the planer and put a finish on. So that makes sense. Jute 5000, what is your take on headless guitars? I am going to show you a headless guitar. I was just playing it the other day. Let me grab it real quick. Here's the gig bag the guitar come in. And this is not your typical headless guitar. So be prepared. I do take this guitar with me on every trip. It's just small. It's short. It's a standard scale length, 25 point. Well, it's actually not a standard scale length. Speak before. Let me show it to you. It's not a shortened scale. It's not like a kid scale, but it's not 25.5. It's probably like 26 and 24.75. It is a fan fret. And I believe that the low E is 26, and I believe the high E is 24.75, if I remember correctly. I think that's what it is, 24.75 high E and 26 on the low E. And this guitar is also scalloped. Every fret is scalloped. And it is a huge scallop. And yes, it is very easy to hit a note, push too hard, and throw the note out of tune. This guitar has taught me so much about playing guitar. When I say I play aggressively, I play aggressively. And sometimes you don't need to on the fret. You know, we take it sometimes for granted that when we push between our frets, we're going to go down and we're going to strike the fingerboard, and then we're going to bend the note. With this guitar, all I need to do is push, and I can actually bend the note up. Because the scalloping is so big, I can bend that note just by pushing the string in. So if I play aggressively and I dig in and bend, I can get some really crazy bends with this guitar. But what it taught me was I don't need to play hard. I don't need to fret these notes and kill my fingers. I have learned to play quicker with less force, less action in my fingers to get that note to ring properly, not fret out, and be a clear sounding note and play accurately to where the note, I'm not bending the note out of tune by over fretting. This guitar will do that for you. It will teach you what you need to learn about playing fast on leads and not striking the individual notes too hard. How do I feel about headless guitars? I think they're great. They're light. I would love to play this guitar, out live like I used to. Would I necessarily do a fan fret like this one? Probably not. And the reason I'm going to say not is it takes a little bit of time to get used to playing a standard guitar, then going to the fan fret. It's not that it's not natural. It is natural. Your hand immediately wants to do the way the frets are laid out on the guitar. It's very natural feeling. It's not that. But you do develop a distance. Let's say when you're used to sliding up to hit a note. Since this is 24 and this is 26, it's not, the scale changes. So you get used to that scale length on your slides. And when you go to a different scale length, especially a 25 even, you start misfretting due to the scale lengths. So I think if you pick up a headless guitar, pick up a conventional, 25.5, 24.5, and just play it. They're great. I love this one. This one's made by NK. You can get NK guitars on eBay, Amazon. They actually do have some music stores that do carry NK. I don't know if Guitar Center or Sweetwater carry an NK. This one was ordered off of Amazon, and they will do custom orders, like the full scalloping. The one thing that I had issues, if you go back and watch the review on this guitar, from NK, this guitar was wired wrong. It was wired not even close to right. And I'm not going to say it's their fault. The manufacturer of this switch has a website on how they claim the switch should be wired to do X, and the manufacturer is incorrect. Their publication on what does what and what post does what was wrong. According to the manufacturer, NK had wired the guitar per the spec of the company that made the switch. I forget who it was now. That doesn't put NK, it doesn't make them not responsible. They're still responsible. Someone needed to plug this guitar in and go, hey, the coil split in this switch, something's funny. Something's not working. No one checked it. And if someone did check it, they weren't an experienced guitar player to know, hey, there's something not right with the switching on this. How come I'm not getting both pickups? How come I'm getting, it sounds, something's wrong here. And NK didn't have that. So I had to rewire the switch. And on this particular guitar, I think this guitar has CTS push-pull pots that I added, a new switch. And another issue you may have, since it has the angled pickups with the fan fret, that really limits the pickups that you can put in the guitar. There's two different angles that most manufacturers make. If it's not one of those two angles, you're going to have to take a humbucker pickup, separate the pickup, break the connections, and then reconnect your two new pickups that have been separated, your humbucker, into the base plate of this pickup, because there's a metal frame. And once you shift those pickups, you'll have to rewire them together. It's a lot of work. So keep that in mind. If you can find the angle of the pickup, if it is fan fret, make sure that there's available pickups on the aftermarket that's going to work for you. But I would say get yourself a headless that has a standard non-fan fret and enjoy it. Every time we go on vacation, I take this guitar. It's small, it's easy, and the NK case, It is, the padding on this case is crazy good. The case that this guitar comes with, that's an inch thick, maybe even an inch and a half thick. I mean, I could throw this in the back of my pickup truck. It's not gonna, this guitar is like, it's in like a big styrofoam coffin, or a pillow coffin. It's a really nice case. I think this guitar was like $550 or $500. So you might want to get on Amazon and check this out. There's also another brand called Hills. I would check the Hills out. I believe they're at the $500 price range. I've heard good things about those. Have not played one, have not touched ones. That's just based on what I've been hearing. Let me put this guitar back. That's why you in the live stream. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question on the headless. I like them. That particular one, I don't play too much. I do try to play it at least once a month just to keep my finger pressure in sync with not overplaying the guitar. The more you overplay and work your fingers, the more tired your hand's going to become. You're exerting a lot of energy in fretting that you may not necessarily really have to do. If the guitar's set up right, it should play easy. You should be smooth and effortless. You might be surprised, maybe tonight when you guys are, when the live stream's done, pick up your guitar and see how lightly you can actually fret your guitar and still get a clean note. You might be surprised at how much you're actually overplaying your instrument. And I find this especially true when playing fast. I didn't play for about 10 years. And when I first started YouTube, again, I'd been playing again for about a year and I was very rusty. So I've been really trying, especially during my break over the last month and a half or 2 months, I've been trying to practice more and become a better musician like I once was. And I've found that guitar allows me to practice, figure out how much I should be pushing on the frets and increasing my speed and keeping the notation in tune as I play. Now I'll go back and look at some of the chat. Always wondered about Strandbergs. You can't knock their guitars. They're just solid guitars. Like I said before, guys, we live in the golden age of guitars. Nowadays, I mean, really, everyone that's watching right now, type in what you all consider is a POS guitar. And I mean, it's got to be just awful. When I was little, I'll tell you right now what I thought was awful. Sears. My dad bought me a Sears guitar, and I think you could, the strings, it was like the space shuttle launch. The springs were so far off the neck that you needed a 50-pound weight to push on the strings to even to get them to touch a fret. I knew they had to be, the gauge wouldn't read that high. That day is gone. If you go in and you look at $200 guitars, it's phenomenal what you can get at $200. I really just can't think of something that's produced now that's really awful, awful, awful. I'm not saying there's not some out there. You know, when you can get on Amazon and look at an $80 guitar. At $80, okay. But I'm saying $200, it's just not there anymore. The craftsmanship and stuff that we're seeing today, even in amplifiers, the cost of amplifiers, mass production of circuit boards have drastically reduced the prices of everything. Is it as good? I'm a tube guy. I like tubes. I don't think the new modeling amps are going to last like the tube amps are. And let's not talk about the components. When I say last, I mean not necessarily by component failure. A lot of these new amps, you have to use their app to be able to get in and adjust reverb or adjust the delay or adjust the treble, like some of the Spark stuff, some of the smaller Blackstar stuff. Without the amp, without the app on your phone or your computer, a lot of that stuff in the amplifier you can't get to. What happens in 10 years when Blackstar, Spark, Boss, some of these other companies just say, nope, we're not going to support that product anymore. And Windows has moved so far past USB-C in 10 years, 15 years, you can't even get a cable to plug into the amp to plug into your computer. The amp still might work, but is it still going to work for you? Then let's just talk about modern components. The modern components and transformers just really aren't as good as some of the older stuff. Not saying the older stuff was always good. There was a reason why Egnator went out of business selling amps. They were tube amps. They got a good reputation. They thought they were going to save a little money, started putting cheap transformers in them, and they started popping transformers left and right. Within 4 years, Egnator's reputation went from awesome amp to don't buy an Egnator, the transformers aren't any good. So I do think transformers in general have went down in quality. The older 70s, 60s transformers that were just these big, huge transformers, they were just phenomenal. They just really were. Actually, Spark has knobs, but no tubes. Okay, I've never played a Spark. I just know a lot of these smaller type amps require you to have an app to be able to control the reverbs and stuff. So I'm kind of curious what's going to happen in 10 or 12 years when the amp for the product is no longer supported, or when Windows and our operating systems move so far ahead that we no longer have access to the protocols that's in that particular unit. I wonder about that quite a bit, to be honest with you. Well, guys, if nobody has anything else, we've been on for 3 hours, and I think I'm going to call it a night for tonight. Because the last live stream, if you go back and look at it, I tried to put chapters in it. And there were so many different topics that I think I had over 50 lines of topics and different where we changed topics. I gave up. At 2.5 hours, I said, you know what? I put enough chapters in this. I literally just said enough. I said, if someone wants to complain that the last hour isn't divided into chapters, I spent 4 hours dividing that thing up. So with a 3-hour video, I probably have 5 or 6 hours of dividing this video into chapters. So as I said, we have ordered some equipment to make the live stream a little better, to make it more interactive. So with each week, I'm hoping to step up the game a little bit and hopefully get a little bit better video. This particular live stream, we're still using the Logitech mic and camera. So as far as quality and stuff like that, it's just like the last video. This time, I'm just trying to stay more engaged with the chat and try to stay more on topic with what you guys are talking about. So hopefully you saw the difference in this live stream, and hopefully everyone likes it. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching and you haven't typed anything in, It does mean a lot. It helps YouTube's AI to hit the like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. You guys talked a lot about a lot of different things. Any products that you want to leave information on, put something down in the chat. I'll go back and look at it. If you couldn't do a link, I'll post a link for you guys so we can share info. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in and leave some comments. If you didn't watch the whole video and you're coming back and you're checking it out again, is Saturday night at this time a good time for everybody, or would another night work? I'm thinking Saturday night. I can't think of any other channels like mine that do anything on a Saturday night. So I kind of thought maybe tonight would be a good night. But leave some comments. Let me know. Remember to hit the like button. And I want to thank everybody for watching the live stream. You guys have a good night. And the Firefly, first part of the Firefly video should be up sometime next week. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye.